weekend before the All-Star break at Citi Field, and a big weekend it is. David Wright is heading to the All-Star game on Tuesday, and Jose Reyes will be right there with him. But before they head off to Anaheim for the big game, there's work to be done with the first-place Braves in town and their retiring but never shy manager, Bobby Cox. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Atlanta Braves. Mets baseball is presented in HD by IOTV. Get your HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen, Keith and Ron in just a moment. The Mets have made some moves as they head into this game against the Braves this weekend. They have lengthened their bench, adding a right-handed bat. Nick Evans is up from Binghamton for another go-round for the Mets. He had 15 home runs down in Double-A this year. And the Mets have sent pitcher Ryota Igarashi down to Single-A Port St. Lucie to try and get his pitching back together. So the Mets will not really be short in the bullpen because they have Isanori Takahashi out there for this series. As for Jose Reyes, he's playing again, and again he's going to bat right-handed against a right-handed pitcher, and in deference to that, Jerry Manuel has moved Jose down into the 2-hole to hit behind Angel Pagan. So it's the Mets and Braves for a 3-game series. The Mets 3 games behind the Braves coming in. The last time the Mets saw Atlanta here at Citi Field, the Braves looked like one of the worst teams in baseball, Keith, and since then they've played like one of the best teams in baseball.
Well, they were in the midst of a 9-game losing streak. Since then they have gone 42-21 and are 3 games on top of the lead in the National League East. How are they doing it? Well, they got great starting pitching. They've lost a lot of people in between. Offensively, well, my goodness, they've got Troy Glaus, who's been a tremendous lift. Martin Prado, who's really, I felt, was a role player. He's leading the league in hitting. Omar Infante, a definite role player, hitting over 300. Chipper Jones and McCann, the All-Stars, subpar first halves for them. McLouth and Hayward are down. It's just one of those teams like the Mets. The little guys are picking it up, and that's what it takes to win. This is not a team that can steal a lot of bases. They're not a power-hitting team, but they don't leave men on base, and they score runs.
No Chipper Jones tonight. He's been scratched with a bad back, so the Braves lineup gets a little bit thinner against R.A. Dickey, who has just been one of the most delightful stories in baseball this year. Last time out, he outpitched Steven Strasburg. Tonight, he gets another young, hard thrower on the other side.
Well, against Strasburg in 7 innings, he only gave up 2 unearned runs. He was winning 5-2 when he left, 28-29 in his career. But throw those numbers out, as he's been 6-1 and outstanding for the Mets all season long. And going against Tommy Hanson, who's one of the best young pitchers in baseball, 19 wins in his first 38 starts. Think about this for Hanson. 3 starts of 9 innings, he gave up 23 earned runs. In the other 87 innings, he's given up 22 earned runs. So when he's on, he'll be a very difficult task for the Mets.
So it's the Mets and Braves, 3 games over the weekend. A sweep gets the Mets a tie for first going into the All-Star break. All the action coming up on SNY. AT&T Rethink Possible. By Frostburg Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. By Jacari Supply, official distributor of PPG Paint and proud sponsor of the New York Mets. And by Parts Authority, the future of auto parts. And by Lexus. Traveling this season? Take the Mets with you. Subscribe to MLB.tv today to see every Mets game live or on demand on your computer. Visit Mets.com to order and get more details. MLB.tv, baseball everywhere. Here's your Suzuki around the majors for today. Last night, Ubaldo Jimenez won his 15th. First big leaguer to win 15 before the break since David Wells 10 years ago, as the Rockies sweep 3 from the Cardinals. Roy Oswalt threw a one-hitter against the Pittsburgh Pirates, a 2-0 Houston win. And this afternoon, Cliff Lee is dealt for Justin Smoke and 3 minor leaguers. He goes to the Texas Rangers, will not face the Yankees tonight. Here it's the Mets and the Braves on a warm evening in New York. First pitch coming right up. Scratch, so Omar Infante plays third base and bats third. By the way, you know he's an all-star. Martin Prado's leading the National League in hitting at .336. Elkie Cabrera moves up to the 2-hole. Not an imposing lineup for the Atlanta Braves, and yet they have been winning almost every day.
Oh, the Verizon numbers for R.A. Dickey, you'll see there, only 2 home runs given up, 17 walks to 42 strikeouts. 6 of his 9 starts, he's given up 2 earned runs or less. And the 31 official at-bats in the first inning, he's only given up 4 hits so far. He is strong early.
And Alexis Mets defense. Francoeur, Pagan, Bay in the outfield. Davis, Tejada, Reyes right. Josh Tolley gets the start. And we all know about Francoeur's arm in right field. Boy, he is just there. Look at the sweat on that hat, Ron.
That is...
It's like a salt mine.
Yes. Salt's lick.
Martin Prado leads off. Prado hitting at .336, leading the National League, and he takes a knuckleball inside. We're underway. Prado with 121 hits this year, the most in the league by far, and the second most ever for a Brave before the All-Star break. And he bounces one out for Reyes to handle, And Reyes handles it flawlessly, and Prado was not running at all down to first base. That was very odd. Now remember, Prado last year had those headaches that he suffered off and on, and especially in a game here. But look at this.
Wow. That's token.
That's very unusual for Prado. So there must be something wrong.
And that's got to be found money for R.A. Dickey as he got that out on a synchro away fastball.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Melky Cabrera. Melky playing right field tonight, hitting at .257. He's come a long way after a slow start. He's got himself another base hit. So just the 5th first inning hit against Dickey in 10 starts this year. A 1-out base runner for Omar Infante.
Well, the key to hitting, excuse me, the key to hitting a knuckleball is just to wait to the last moment. I always found standing up more erect at the plate, not crouched, helped you wait longer. Then again, it sets you up for that hard knuckleball inside, which Mr. Dickey likes to throw.
Yeah.
RA is 6-1. Got a no decision his last start, a game he certainly deserved to win. Gave up 2 unearned runs in 7 innings against the Nationals. Here's Infante hitting at .307. One of the stranger all-star choices in recent years for a guy whose team already was well represented on the all-star team. That Omar Infante, barely over 300, 9 walks, 1 home run, a guy who doesn't even start half the games for his team. You look at Prado being looked at by the trainer. Bouncing ball through the right side, the base hit for Infante. And Cabrera pulls in at second. So back-to-back singles for the Braves with Brian McCann coming up.
Well, I think we're seeing right now, Ronnie, why this team's in first place.
They will nickel and dime you. Not afraid to hit the other way. He saw the hole between first and second, decided to take a shot, and it worked out.
And again, a ball not hit hard for Met fans. The value of Francoeur in right field is that that should have been first and third, but his strength of his arm, you're out of that first and third situation.
Well, here's McCann, who has begun to hit lately. He'll be going to the All-Star game for the 5th straight year. 10 homers, 37 RBIs. But your point is well taken about the Braves offense. This is not a power-laden team, 12th in the National League in home runs. But they lead the league in walks drawn and lead the league in on-base percentage.
They put pressure on you, and you're going to have to make a pitch at some point in the game. R.A. Dickey and runners in scoring position. 250 clip for the opposition.
1-1 to McCann. Dickey made 2 relief outings against the Braves before he joined the Mets, the last one in 2008. So there are some scattered histories up and down this Braves lineup against Dickey. And McCann socks one out to right field for his buddy Francoeur to handle. Tagging at second is Cabrera. He's going to move over. And that's the 2nd out of the inning. So McCann flies out. 1st and 3rd and 2 away, and Troy Gloss coming to the plate. Gloss was the hottest thing going for about a month and a half for Atlanta, but lately, bothered by a bulky knee, he has really cooled down. Just 6 hits in his last 50 at-bats.
I will say, though, remember over in Atlanta, he hit that home run off Santana on a changeup. Gloss at this point in his career is vulnerable to a hard thrower, especially fastballs upstairs. Tends to be a good breaking ball hitter. That could be a factor here against R.A. Dickey in the knuckleball.
And he throws him a first pitch knuckleball in at the knees. Ross got a cortisone shot in his left knee about a week ago. He missed 3 games over this past weekend. Came back on Tuesday, so he's only played 2 games since returning. Ross, who missed virtually all of last year because of a shoulder injury. And Dickey just missed 1-1. Ronnie mentioned the numbers in the first inning. Only 2 runs have scored against Dickey in his 9 starts in the first inning. And a call strike, 1-2.
Well, that was a nice catch by Tolley. That ball broke ever so late.
Tolley caught Dickey's start in Washington and did a very nice job. Might have mishandled only 1 ball the entire afternoon. Caught him in the minors this year as well. 1-2. Ground ball. Reyes moving to his left, and he can't make the play, and everybody's safe. A run is in. 1-0 Atlanta. A play that Reyes normally makes in his sleep, but he commits an error that brings home the game's first run.
Well, Jose's been playing great defense. And watch, he took his eye off the ball, and he kind of went after it one-handed, which normally Jose has the excellent fundies, and just kind of took his eye off the ball and to give the feed to Tejada. It happens.
So Reyes commits his 6th error of the year. And now Eric Hinsky takes a strike.
This guy looks like a human bowling ball here.
Hinsky's having a nice year.
Yes, he is.
He started about half the games for the Braves this season. He's playing left field tonight. 2/3 of the Braves outfield is on the disabled list. Dave McLeod has been out for the better part of a month after suffering a concussion in a collision with Jason Hayward. He's going to start a rehab program tonight in the minors. And Hayward is out with a thumb injury. And the Braves are hoping he won't miss too much time after the All-Star break. 0-2 to Hinsky. And he struck him out. So Dickey bounces back after the error by Reyes, produces an unearned run. 1-0 Atlanta. Started the game in the 2-hole in deference to the injury that's forcing him to bat right-handed against right-handed pitchers, and pretty tough one tonight at Tommy Hanson.
Well, Toyota numbers on Tommy Hanson. One of the things you love is against the Mets, he has 2 starts, has not given up an earned run. 19-9 in his 38 career starts.
Angel Pagan leads off for New York, and he takes a strike. Last night was Angel Pagan Celebration Day in the borough of Brooklyn. He was at the Cyclones game, even participated in the telecast with Kevin Burkhardt and Bobby Ojeda last night, and even called a little play-by-play. A skill we didn't know Angel had, and a little concerned.
Just another guy going to take our job at some point. I understand.
See the infield there, in at the corner at third. That's Omar Infante.
Angel hitting at 303. And he takes the curveball from Hanson for a strike, 1-2. Tommy Hanson bounced back in his last start with a gem against Florida after 2 dreadful starts against American League teams.
Well, he's had a kind of crazy year. He's had 3 awful starts. Other than that, he's been very good. If he's getting his breaking ball over, it's going to be a tough evening.
Off the fists of Pagan, that's 1-2.
He likes to pitch inside, too. He's a real aggressive guy out there.
Well, Keith, he was struggling with his breaking pitch as he raced on deck in the first inning. We'll never say that, right? He had a little tutorial from John Smoltz on his breaking ball 2 starts ago.
1-2 to Pagan, and the slider is down.
He's one of those short armors, isn't he, Ronnie?
Really is. He throws like you see a catcher maybe throw.
Yep.
And that was part of his problem. He said one of the things he was doing is that he was taking the ball out of the glove and kind of bringing it back towards second base. He couldn't get it in front early enough. Now he's just coming right to his ear.
Averaging better than a strikeout per inning this year. Just about 3 walks per 9 innings, so a very nice 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio.
And he's done it all his career so far. First full year, 224 innings, 214 strikeouts.
2-2 to Pagan, and the fastball taken the other way. A base hit for Angel. Makes the turn and holds on as Hensky gets it back in, and so Angel Pagan has his 87th hit of the year. And now an interesting question coming up as you watch that last pitch.
Out of the strike zone, really. Nice hitting by Angel.
We've seen Jose Reyes take 5 at-bats the last 2 games against right-handers, batting right-handed, and not look good at all. And you have to presume one of the reasons Jerry put him in the 2-hole is just for this situation. Are you going to ask him to bunt?
Absolutely. I think he envisions 1 at-bat per game. Reyes is going to be able to try to bunt for a base hit / sacrifice.
And considering that, Infante not all that close at third. I think that, you know, if you've watched the last couple of games, you have to really believe that Reyes is going to bunt in these spots. Well, now, Reyes has 15 career at-bats right against right. He's 2 for 15.
You can't play in aggressively because he swings the bat, you leave too much of a hole, but he's in more than he should be.
And Pagan runs. The throw by McCann is too late. And Pagan is in with a stolen base. Number 17 for Angel Pagan.
Well, this is just a great jump. I mean, Johnny Bench couldn't throw that man out.
But you knew they were going to do this, Keith and Gary, because Hansen is run on all season long. His entire career, he's given up stolen bases.
That's 13 stolen bases and 14 tries against Hansen this year. Pagan running on the first pitch, so we'll see if Reyes tries to bunt him to third now as the corners pinch in.
Well, they do pinch in. The Braves think he is.
And he lunges for it and misses, and it's 0-2.
Well, you got to get back now. If you're going to bunt here, let him bunt with 2 strikes. You're going to push back a little bit.
Jose's got to understand his role here. Now, we see him putting that bat up. That side is bothering him a little bit. The key to this, he's got to know his role now. That is to get the bunt down as opposed to get a hit.
Well, Jerry Manuel said Reyes was adamant about trying to play this weekend in important games against Atlanta. As he lunges for that one and rolls it out for Infante, but the ball hit the bat a second time, and that's a foul ball. But you have to really question the wisdom of Reyes playing at all right now. After all, from a performance standpoint, he hasn't shown that he can hit right-handed against right-handed. You're running the risk of him re-injuring himself for a longer period of time. Does it make sense to you guys that he is playing this weekend?
Well, Jose has said in the paper he wants to play. He wants to go to the All-Star game. But he did say, what I found the most telling thing that came out was that he said something's wrong in there. And so that, to me, means that he's got some significant issues, the oblique. They're slow-healing injuries.
Hops one up in foul ground. That'll go out of play.
Well, I think in this day and age where we see a lot of players, when they're not feeling, you see him stretching again. He is, it's obvious. He's in pain and something's not right. And I was just going to say, in this day and age where a lot of guys take days off when they don't feel good, you have to admire that he wants to be out there in a big series.
Without question, but that's how he was brought back last year when he was hurting in Los Angeles and wound up costing himself virtually the entire season.
Sometimes you have to manage the player. You can't let the player manage you.
Here's the 0-2, and the curveball pulled foul. Of course, Reyes wants to play, and of course the Mets want Reyes in the lineup, especially in games against the team that they're chasing in the standings. But you worry about him defensively, and you wonder whether even on that error he made in the top of the first inning, was that influenced at all by the sore oblique. He had an MRI today. There's no structural damage, and that's great news. And he strikes out on the slider by Hansen for the first down.
Well, another thing at issue here too is that if you were to backdate him on a DL, you've got the All-Star break. There will be 3 days where he can rest it. You know he's going to get the rest no matter what.
You can't backdate him anymore because he's been playing all.
I understand.
But when you watch these swings, we've now seen 6 at-bats over the last 3 games. He doesn't look like he really has a chance from this side, does
I think a lot of it has to do also, Gary, with the fact that he is not used to facing right-handers on that side of the plate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult for him.
So the question is his presence in the lineup right now a net positive for this team? You look at his reaction after the strikeout. So here's David Wright trying to get that tying run in from second base, and a pickoff try, and Pagan gets back. David now 4th in the National League in batting at .316, still leading the league in RBIs with 64. He's riding a 6-game hitting streak right now. 5th in on-base percentage, 9th in slugging, having himself a tremendous year. And Hansen gets a generous strike, 0-1.
Well, there you go. And boy, April and early May, who would have thought it?
I haven't heard anything about Howard, and he's still up on that list. He's amazing. Angel Pagan is being held on by the second baseman, but he could steal third if he wants to.
And another try, and again Pagan gets the hand back.
And those are the easiest, aren't they, Keith? When you're base running, you can see the second baseman out of the corner of your eye coming in.
You always worry about the shortstop, and you're totally relying on your third base coach. Totally. I'm in your hands, baby. Don't make me look bad.
Prado keeping an eye out. Pagan dancing. And David has to jump back from a wicked fastball in, 1-1.
Hansen will do this as well as any young pitcher in the game, Keith.
Well, nothing wrong. That's fair game right there. Fair game.
The reason he's in 10 batters this year, tied for first in the National League. Not afraid to come in.
He's got that fastball that runs in on right-handers.
There goes Pagan. David fouls it off. Pagan had the base stolen. But Wright got the fastball and fouled it off. Mike Davis hitting cleanup, waiting on deck. Mets and Braves played 3 games here back in April, and the Mets swept 3. Mets then went to Atlanta and split a 2-game series. The Mets have won 4-5 from Atlanta this year. Last year, the Mets were only 5-13 against the Braves for the season. When you have a pitcher who's slow home, do all of these looks at second help, or in the end do they not matter?
Well, I think that you can get your fielders on the heels as they wait for you to deliver the ball to the plate. Pagan's going to stay there with 2 strikes. And that's one of the things he'll learn as he gets older as a pitcher. With 2 strikes and your best hitter up, Pagan is going to stay there. He tried to steal that base earlier because he was trying to do what Reyes could not do, get him to third with 1 out.
I always felt the best thing for a pitcher to do was once, Prado pushes off. Oh, good pitch.
Curveball gets Wright looking for the second out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Hansen.
He's got a knee buckler, Keith.
Oh, well. Big break. Still, just David, he got out in front there. You see this change of pace of that curveball got him out in front and fooled him.
So it's left to Ike Davis with Pagan still at second, now 2 out. Ike just 7 for his last 39, a 179 clip. And a fastball strike.
Oh, McCoors Light Brave defense. So you can see Infante, the late insert into the lineup at third base. Chipper Jones with the bad back. He has done a terrific job this year.
It's a measure of Infante's versatility that before Chipper was scratched, he was going to be playing right field tonight. And Davis goes around on the curveball, and it's 0-2.
It's one of Bobby Cox's kind of players he likes. The little guy that not a whole lot of great ability, but hardworking and hustle and maxes out on his potential.
Say Mark Lemke, Glenn Hubbard.
Man has a keen eye for talent.
Like you're going to throw Biff Poker Ropat.
Oh, jeez.
Hanson ahead 0-2. And the curveball hit right back to the mound. Hanson with plenty of time to throw out Davis, so the Mets got a runner into scoring position with nobody out, but Hanson keeps them right there. 1-0 Atlanta. Tickets for the upcoming Mets games at Citi Field start at $23. Get your great seats direct from the source, Mets.com. Here's Janelle Escobar to lead off against R.A. Dickey in the second inning. Escobar having a rough year at the plate, hitting just .237 with no home runs. And the knuckleball has him swinging out of his socks, 1-1.
That's one of the things they've been disappointed in. Escobar last year had 14 home runs, a real power threat.
Gregor Blanco on deck, and then the pitcher Tommy Hanson for the Braves in the second after they picked up an unearned run in the first. There's a strike, 1-2.
Well, if you recall the last series here with the sweep, when the Mets swept the Braves, Escobar made a horrible base running blunder in one of those games. And
well, attitude and that kind of mistake had been kind of the MO for Escobar, but the production level was high enough that they were kind of able to live with it. But now the production has gone down precipitously this year. 2-2 from Dickey, and fouled off the mask with Tolian back.
he's always been a big free swinger, and you know the season's not over again. Always guys that have had good years, you know, you're kind of remiss to quit on them because they can bounce back. Usually a good player off a bad year comes back and has a great year.
Well, I think people tend to forget is almost all the players that play have a spurt of streakiness where they have some success. The better players have a year of success, and the best players are the ones that string years together. Not very easy to do.
Right back to Dickey. Tall enough to grab it. One out. I think what's interesting when you watch the Braves right now is you look up and down their lineup, and obviously Martin Prado is having an off-the-charts kind of a year. And, you know, Troy Gloss has been a pleasant surprise, but there's really nobody else having what you'd consider to be a terrific year. McCann is down. Chipper Jones is down. Escobar is down. And yet you look at their record right now and you say, well, wait a minute, I know their pitching's good, but should this team be as good as their one-loss record?
Chipper Jones. You make a good point. I think what has happened is Blanco fakes the bunt is that in April they had, let's say Prado's been great all year long. April, Hayward had an amazing April. Then May and part of June, Klaus came and he had so they've had different people carry him through different stretches.
And I guess when your pitching is as good as theirs has been, that may be all you need. Now, what they've also done is we talk about their starters. Their bullpen's been fantastic, and they've won 16 games in their last at bat. That's more than anybody else in the majors. 1-2 to Blanco. There are your umpires, and there are your Braves All-Stars.
Well, we don't give the umpires a lot of love, do we? I mean, they were on it for a second.
5 Braves picked for the All-Star game. 1-2 to Blanco, and he fouls it away.
Blanco tends to be a similar player to the New York Mets' Jesus Feliciano. A solid defensive player. Might have a little more speed than Feliciano. Chokes up on the bat. Tries to just base hits all around the diamond.
Called up in late May when Braves had injury issues. And this is just the 15th game he's started. Was now with Hayward joining McLeod on the disabled list. There's more playing time for all the Braves outfielders, and they've had to mix and match out there.
A big choke up on that bat, too.
2-2 from Dickey, and he just missed. 3-2. Well, Emmel judged it, I guess, to be wide.
It was Paul Harvey, he would say. 2 inches. Just missed.
Doug Harvey. Paul Harvey would say, good day.
Good day.
I think the umpire's parents called. They asked that we keep their names up.
There we go. Much better.
Paul Emmel, Bill Hahn, Ronnie's cousin is the crew chief.
That's right.
And Bruce Streckman is his.
Oh, we caught them both spinning.
Double expectoration. In there for a call, strike 3. Dickey threw the fastball on 3-2 and got the call for his second strikeout of the night.
It's that hard when he throws it. Got the corner. Let you throw that little more velocity on it and tie up the hitter.
Shocking when he throws a 3-2 fastball, isn't it?
Well, he's gotten 2 outs now. The ground ball to lead off the game from Prado, and now the strikeout with the fastball.
Here's Hansen, not much of a hitter, 4 for 30 this year.
I used to always think that Phil Niekro would try to sneak a fastball by him, but he never would. He'd only throw that little sinker down 2-0, 3-1.
Little flare out into right center, and Hansen's got himself a base hit. So a 2-out hit for the Braves. Their third off Dickey. That'll get Prado to the plate.
It's not that you're doing a favor for the pitcher, but of course the knuckleball's at a speed where maybe the pitcher can handle it if it doesn't break.
There's always the Ralph Kiner theory about facing a knuckleballer. Put 9 pitchers in the lineup. So now Prado, who bounced out to short his first time up, and always seems to take the first pitch. Castillo-like in that.
Paul Emmel has been his low ball umpire. Boy, he's called a couple pitches I thought were a little bit low for strikes. Oh, nice one there.
How hard do you think it is for an umpire to call balls and strikes with knuckleballs?
Well, I think you can't take anything for granted. I think, when you are seeing a regular pitcher throw his fastball or curveball, you can anticipate the break of it. With the knuckleball, you have to stay with it till the last second.
You just never know which way it might go. Hard knuckleball sometimes looks like a slider, doesn't it?
His knuckleball does. It reminds me very much of Joe Niekro, who only threw his about 40% of the time. But when he threw it, it was in that 75 to 80 mile an hour range.
1-2 to Prado, and he fouls it off. Martin Prado last year showed signs. He hit over 300. He hit 11 home runs. He's already got 10 home runs this year, and he's leading the league in hitting. He had to
take the second base job away last year from Kelly Johnson. And once he got it, he never gave it back. Kelly's having a great year now in Arizona. Slap foul.
Yeah, Bobby Cox was saying that Kelly Johnson was the everyday second baseman. He needed to give Kelly a rest. He put Prado in. He got 3 hits. So, well, I got to reward him. He got 3 hits. Let's play him again. He said he got another 3 hits. And he said the next thing he knew, he was penciling in that name every day.
Kelly Johnson beat Wally Pipp.
There you go.
Swing and a foul tip. Tolley holds it. Strike 3. Third strikeout for Dickey. That gets him through the top of the second. Mets come to bat in the bottom of the second with Jason Bay to lead off, down 1-0. And its impact on players in negotiations on All New Jets Nation Sunday at 7 only on SNY. Between innings, all right, Dickey and Dan Warthen talking knuckleballs.
Well, it's always got to be difficult for Dan to talk to RA, but I know he's reached out to some of the brethren of the knuckleball class to make sure that he's in on the lingo of the knuckleball.
The way R.A. puts it, he says basically you take everything that you ever learned about pitching and do the opposite. Jason Bay leads off the home second inning and takes a fastball strike, and Hansen keeps on denting that corner with first pitch fastballs. Bay hitting at .271, 13 RBIs in his last 10 games. But the hits have been hard to come by. It'll be Bay, then Josh Tolley and Jeff Francoeur for the Mets in the second.
You watch Tommy Hansen. He is like a dart thrower. Hands are real quiet back, leg up, and then the explosion as he just lifts that hand right to the right ear and pinpoints that control.
Bay drives one deep left field. Hinsky moves back though and picks it off for the first out. So Bay is retired. One out of the second. And now Josh Tolley making his second straight start. had 2 hits again in the game on Wednesday against a pretty tough pitcher in Bronson Arroyo. So he's got 7 hits and 13 at-bats since being called up. And, well, there was speculation the Mets were showcasing him for a trade for Cliff Lee. Because that's not going to happen. Lee today was traded to Texas. But the Mets continue to carry 3 catchers with Toley, Blanco, and Barajas. And slowly, the playing time is starting to move Toley's way.
You know, for a team that has played as well as the Mets have played here in this first half, they have a lot of discussion to be had over the All-Star break. Whether to carry 3 catchers, what their bullpen is going to look like, if they're going to bring someone back to be a 5th starter and keep Takahashi in the bullpen. There's just Beltran coming back. How are you going to fit 4 outfielders in 3 positions? Castillo has started his rehab. What if he comes back? What are you going to do? There's a lot of questions to be answered.
Well, Jerry has announced his starting rotation for after the All-Star break. He's going to go with Dickey the first game in San Francisco, then Nice, Pelfrey, and Santana. And for the moment, that first game in Arizona is Takahashi, unless it's not. 3-1 to Toley, and he fouls it back. As for Beltran, you expect him to be in the lineup Thursday night when the Mets get to San Francisco.
Most definitely. I believe he will be in the lineup. He's playing 9 innings now down there in St. Lucie. So Jerry got to put on his thinking cap.
Well, he's got 4 starting outfielders and 3 spots to play him in. Toley lifts one foul, and you know, it's part of it is about keeping everybody happy, but the other part about it is Jason Bay, Jeff Francoeur, Carlos Beltran, not so much Angel Pagan, but the other 3 have always played every day, always throughout their career, and you wonder if any of them plays less than every day, how that's going to affect their ability to keep their timing and keep their production up.
Toley lines one into right field. He loses a bat but gains a base hit. Now 8 for 14 since coming up.
Well, off the end of the bat, stay level like that, and you're going to hit line drives instead of pop-ups.
Well, here is Francoeur, who certainly figures to lose as much playing time as anybody in the post-Beltran arrival days.
Well, I think, Garrett, that Francoeur will probably suffer, I think, the most from less playing time. He's more of a streak hitter. He has got a longer swing, where Angel is more compact. Bay's more compact. Bay's going to play. I think we're basically talking about Francoeur Pagan, but you know, Francoeur's always been a guy that's played every day, and I think his swing, you know, there's so many moving parts. He sits down on the pine a little bit. It's going to be tough to keep that engine fine-tuned.
Well, he had a streak when he was with Atlanta of over 400 games played in a row. So that's what he considers himself, a kind of a warrior that goes out every day.
Popped up, shallow right, and Prado with the angle. And that's the second out. But even with Pagan, and you know, Pagan has been a part-time player in his career, but has thrived as a full-time player. And when he missed 5 or 6 days because of the oblique, it took him 3 or 4 days to get his timing back. And I think that's a cautionary note as well, isn't it?
Well, I think also, too, I think the injury has something to do with that also. I mean, I've never had an oblique.
Sensitive.
I think maybe I would be a little tentative swinging the bat. You can take all the BP you want, Garrett, but it's nothing like being out there in that violent force to attack that baseball with your swing. You just, until you get that doubt out of your mind.
Now Ruben Tejada, 1 for his last 19 at the plate, and another first pitch fastball for a strike.
And that's assuming that Pagan is not going to play every day, because that could happen also. It's going to be a difficult decision. I know Jerry has mentioned it to us that he's going to try to have a premeditated kind of lineup 2 or 3 days ahead of time.
Pitch out and totally back to the mat.
So that these outfielders will know ahead of time. I honestly have never heard of a manager doing that. Things change day to day. Injuries crop up. You just don't know what's going to happen. I think that's you can have an idea of what you're going to do. That doesn't mean you're going to be able to stick to it.
I think the greatest unknown in all of this is how much can Beltran play? How many days a week will Carlos most optimally be able to play? And how's he going to be moving with his knee and the brace on his knee? And what kind of center fielder is he going to be? Is he going to be the Gold Glove All-Star player that we're used to seeing, or some percentage of that?
Well, if he can't cover the ground out there, and you're not going to get hurt with him in right field because Carlos has got a great arm.
There goes Tolle, hit to right field by Tejada. To the line goes Cabrera, and he makes a nice catch in foul territory to end the inning. So the Mets are done in the bottom of the second. A hit and one left. On to the third, 1-0 Atlanta. Lines down after a season. Plus, get a complete all-star preview on Mets Weekly, presented by Flat Rate Moving, tomorrow at noon, only on SNY. Part of the crowd on a Friday night at Citi Field. Not quite as stifling hot as it was the last number of days the Mets were home. All right, Dickey down 1-0 on an unearned run. He gave up 2 runs in his last start, and they were both unearned. The Mets as a team have now had only 17 unearned runs against them this season. Melky Cabrera singled to center and scored the game's only run in the first. And Melky pulls one down to Ike Davis, who makes the sprawling grab. And Dickey's there to cover one away.
Oh, Ike's got sure hands. You've seen him make those dives before. Very nice.
What's interesting, Keith, is that we've seen a lot of those plays from Ike, and he is just so good at it. Gets on the ground, gets dirty, and with those soft hands makes the play. But we haven't seen him go to the line too often so far in his young career.
Well, we've seen him go to the rail for pop-ups.
There you go. He's good out of bounds. He's good.
Go to his left in the air. Can he go to his left on the ground? Here's Omar Infante. And he takes a knuckleball for a strike. Infante punched a single to right his first time up. They missed about half the season last year for the Braves, and they felt as though that was a big loss for them. The guy could play anywhere and do anything.
Well, the thing about Infante, which is so important for this ball club, is Chipper Jones was not in the lineup tonight. There are many days you come to the ballpark and 10 minutes before the game starts, Chipper's out and Infante's in.
Today, one of those days. And again, he goes the other way, and Infante is 2 for 2. Chipper today sitting out with some back issues. It's been one thing after another with Chipper over the last few years.
He's got the right approach against the knuckleball, doesn't he, Keith? Just waiting and trying to hit it the other way.
And he's a table setter, even though he's hitting third. You know, you're hitting third. You are what you are as a hitter. You're basically they got 3 table setters up here in the 1, 2, 3 positions in the order.
Now McCann, who flied to right his first trip.
Well, talking to people that have been watching the Braves every day, McCann is peppering that left center field wall, and when he's hitting the ball the other way, that is when he's on a hot streak.
Troy Gloss on deck, and Dickey for a rare time tonight behind 2-0.
Well, when McCann first came up, he did go the other way quite a bit. Like everything else, when you get more experience, you learn to pull, you become more of a pull hitter, and you can kind of get in a rut, and then you realize you got to go back to where you were successful.
Well, the Braves are only 12th in home runs, but because of the walks and the high on base percentage, they're 6th in the league in runs per game.
Like the Mets, they play in a pretty big ballpark there at Turner Field. Maybe not as big as here, but it's a good place to pitch.
One thing about Turner Field, it is a big park, but I tell you what, it's a putting green in that grass. That is a fast infield and a fast outfield.
Yeah, got a 3-1 fastball, but got a little anxious. The Braves have been almost unbeatable at home this year. Not quite as successful on the road, just 20 and 25 away from Turner Field.
Just like the Mets.
They just got back in.
Just like the Mets. They've made their first half season by their play at home.
They had a 20-8 May, which is phenomenal, and a 17-11 June. So that's back-to-back good months.
Infante runs. McCann strikes out. The throw. Tolley gets it. Strike him out. Throw him out. Double play. And the inning is over. With McCann falling into him, Tolley nonetheless made a good throw. TV. And if you're not near a TV, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Keith has nicely circled the All-Star break for us to remind us of a little vacation upcoming. Happy times. Thank you, Keith. You are very artistic. National TV tomorrow. We'll be on Pix 11 on Sunday, and then back with you in San Francisco next Thursday.
We don't have a graphic for the All-Star game? We don't want anyone to watch the All-Star game? Or
it's not on our network. R.A. Dickey leads off in the home third inning. 3 hits and 14 at-bats this year. And Tommy Hanson throws his 9th consecutive first pitch strike.
First time through the order, Hanson led everybody off. Fastballs, knee-high outside corner for the strikes. Let's watch, see what he does the second time through the order.
Dickey finds the hole. Gloss never moved, and he's got himself a leadoff hit. It's not the first time in this homestand we've seen a first baseman not move for a ball to his right.
Gloss moved the wrong way. He broke down the line, and he knew he couldn't move. He's got the bad knee.
The other day we saw Joey Votto break toward the first base bag on a ball hit 5 feet to his right. So Angel Pagan, the batter. Angel did a nice job his first time up. Had a couple of tough breaking balls from Hanson, and finally on 2-2 took a fastball the other way for a hit. That's now with 3 hits off Hanson. Gloss is going to play behind Dickey at first base to give himself a little depth against Pagan. Pagan does his best to try and bring him in.
Well, he did have a hit to left field, but Melky Cabrera in right field playing very shallow against Angel Pagan.
And that's the big part of the ballpark right there with that Mo zone out there.
And Angel drops down a beauty of a bunt. Hanson off to field it, not in time. Pagan with a bunt single, and the Mets have 2 men on.
Well, beautiful bunt here. It wasn't that much down the line. Hanson, you saw the follow through, but he broke to the first base side of the bag. Where's Infante?
Exactly. I mean, you're the third baseman, and he's already faked the bunt towards your way. You got to take that bunt away.
Well, another bunt might ensue now with Reyes coming up. Reyes was looking to bunt his first time up. Pagan wound up stealing second, and Reyes wound up striking out. Now 0 for 6 in his righty on righty at bats over the last 3 games.
Infante, he is aggressively in. Backs up here, so they're going to have the regular bunt play on.
But Reyes pops it up, and Infante can't get there. The difficulty here is you've got a pitcher running at second base.
We got R.A. Dickey at second base, and he's fidgety out there, but they gave him one fake. He went all the way back to the bag while Reyes was squaring around the bunt. So I'd advise R.A., when you get off, get a real comfortable lead, stay still, and as soon as he delivers to the ball plate, then get 2 or 3 steps. Don't get fidgety back and forth with the shortstop who's going to be faking behind you.
Of course, the difficulty you always get on these kinds of plays is if Reyes bunts through the ball, then McCann throws behind the runner, and often you get a runner like Dickey picked off.
You would not want to put on a wheel play here with the pitcher up. You want to run a straight. I don't know what Hanson's worried about.
I honestly, if I were in this situation pitching, I'm throwing a strike, getting to third base, because I know I'm going to get him out of third.
Exactly. You want to cover that third base line so the third baseman can back off and get back to the bag. Absolutely.
Dickey is not only a pitcher, but one who's spent most of his career in the American League. Has not done a lot of base running. Reyes lays off that pitch.
Reyes is having trouble just keeping his balance on the bunt. You know, he happens to be an outstanding bunter when he's bunting for a base hit. When he bunts for a sacrifice, it's really hard for him to stay still. You know, he's a very fidgety player anyway.
David Wright waiting on deck, hoping for an RBI chance. It's down 1-0 in the third, and a key at bat here with a player compromised by injury trying to do something he's not accustomed to doing.
You don't have to be too fine. If you're Reyes, just push it to Klaus. He's not going to make the play at third base.
And he does get the bunt down, forces Infante to handle it. Nicely done by Reyes, moving the runners to second and third.
Boy, Hansen does not move well off the mound.
No, he does not. That was a stone cold out, but Infante picked the wrong time to come in.
Well, the bunt, bat out in front, level. Perfect, perfect. Absolutely perfect.
One of the few times we've ever seen Reyes actually square to bunt.
That was perfect form by Jose.
So now a chance for David Wright with the tying and lead runs in scoring position. The Rays are going to play their middle infield back and concede the tying run. A fly ball to the outfield. You got Dickey going to be trying to score from third base. But you've got some not so great arms in that Atlanta outfield. And David hits one out to right, chasing Cabrera back to the edge of the warning track to reel it in. Dickey tags and scores. Pagan tags and goes to third. Sacrifice fly for David Wright. His 65th RBI ties the game at 1.
Well, David in here is going committed to right field. They want to come in. Too much plate. Like the way he loads off that back foot. A little more of an uppercut because he wanted to get the fly ball. I know the sacrifice fly gets the job done, but you have 2 men in scoring position. My approach would be okay. I'm still hitting a line drive. Not just, sacrifice fly is second best. You want to drive them both in.
Now Ike Davis will try and get that second run home as Pagan edges off third. And the curveball stopped by McCann to keep him there 1-0. Well, the Mets executing very well after the leadoff hit by Dickey. Pagan dropping down a nice bunt, beating it out for a base hit. Reyes giving himself up and sacrificing well, leading to the sac fly by Wright. And now Davis takes another curveball. I don't know where that was. 2-0. Ike chasing Jason Hayward is on the disabled list for the RBI lead among National League rookies.
I don't know if you noticed, is Ike Davis not as open as he's been earlier in the season? I know he's going through a tough stretch. Gary said it was 7 for 40 now, but he seems to not be as open as much as he was earlier in the season.
Yeah, the curveball swung and missed.
That's a good observation there, Ron. And you are right. He was much more open earlier. He's still having trouble with a good breaking ball down in the dirt. Laying off.
Yeah, laying off it is the problem for him.
Yep, not as close. A little closer to the plate, too.
2-2 from Hansen. And the curveball just got a piece to stay alive. A lot of curveballs from Hansen here against Davis.
He can go up the ladder now out of the strike zone if he wants.
Jason Bay would be next. With Pagan at third and 2 outs, the Mets have tied it up here in the third. Davis hanging in there against breaking stuff of Tommy Hansen. And he strikes him out with that curveball to end the inning. Third strikeout for Hansen. Mets scratch out a run. R.A. Dickey doing Carlin with insider info up to the minute Mets news, rumors, and insight on Mets blog presented by Verizon, featured on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports. Troy Gloss leads off the 4th inning in a 1-1 game. Gloss hit a ground ball to short that should have ended the 1st inning. Reyes booted it for an error, and that led to the Braves' only run. It'll be Gloss, then Eric Hinsky, and Yunel Escobar for the Braves in the 4th. And Dickey misses wide with the knuckleball, 2-0. Throws a fastball down the middle, 2-1.
He's got pretty good movement on that fastball. I bet you could use it more.
Got to be sitting on a fastball 2-0. I'm sorry. And if you get it, you're going to just good jump. 84 mile an hour. You can't take that.
You're mad at yourself, right? If you take it.
And Dickey's been pretty predictable with that. He has thrown fastball most of the time 2-0, 3-1. So I think as a hitter, you got to be looking.
Phil Niekro did the same thing, and he'd always run a little sinker away on you. And I'm a left-hand hitter, so he'd run a little sinker and try to get you to roll it over.
Loss pops one foul, and that'll come out of play. You mentioned Phil Niekro before, and I seem to remember the story that when he won his 300th game for the Yankees, he threw all fastballs that game. Threw no knuckleballs at all.
Really?
Because he wanted to prove that he was more than just a knuckleball pitcher.
But when he came up, he was a sinker slider pitcher with the Milwaukee Braves way back in the 60s.
Well, for a guy like R.A. Dickey, he's got to feel like he's in the infancy of his career. 121 wins for Niekro after the age of 40.
Rip foul. Well, it's a very small fraternity, and they all talk to each other, and they all try to help each other out. There are the career wins for some of the notable knuckleballers of the last couple of generations.
Hoyt Wilhelm, of course. Jesse Orozco overtook for the all-time games pitched. He's a reliever.
He was mostly a reliever as Ross goes down swinging, although Wilhelm in a rare start pitched a no-hitter against the Yankees in 1958.
And what was great about that last name there, Wilbur Wood, I remember when I was a kid as Gloss goes down on the knuckleball, that he would routinely start both games with a doubleheader, and I just thought that was the coolest thing.
Wilbur Wood would start over 40 games a year.
If he had not been hit in the knee and had his kneecap broken, he's another guy who might have pitched till he was 50. A left-handed knuckleballer. The only one that I can really think of.
Yeah, that's right.
Any other?
I can't think of one. You're right. Thank goodness.
One out. Here's Eric Hinsky, who struck out his first time up. I once saw a side-arming left-handed knuckleballer in the minor leagues. Out to left center. Over goes Pagan. And with those nice long strides, has it for the second out.
You know, the biggest key to R.A. Dickey, and of course, to get to 6-1 or win your first 6 starts, you need a little luck also. But 17 walks now and 47 strikeouts. That has been the key. Most knuckleball pitchers I know seem to always be 2-0, 2-1 on everybody, and he has not been that way.
Or they walk a lot of people, but it's such a hard pitch to command.
Well, he has not only commanded it well, he has particularly commanded it well in New York air. He's pitched in 4 different ballparks in this town, Shea, City, and both Yankee stadiums. In 7 career games in New York, 5-0 with an 0.75 ERA. That's very impressive.
Wow.
Now, they talk about some guys not being able to pitch in this town. He clearly is not that guy. The air currents are very much in his favor.
He has that westerly wind.
He's been waiting to be here his whole life.
He just didn't know it. And the fastball hit to right field. A base hit for Escobar goes by Frank Corin all the way to the fence. Escobar heads for second. Frank Corin's throw comes in a shade late. And Escobar in with a 2-out double, his 12th double of the year.
Can we see that slide again? Oh, what was that all about?
Slide. How was that a close play?
That is a terrible slide. Ball down the corner.
Francoeur's arm, you can never take advantage of, take it for granted. Look at his slide. I mean, you just beat the throw. Get there. That's what my kid's doing in the ocean. A little side saddle into the wave.
By the way, there was a hitter who was ready for a 2-0 fastball.
The
Gregor Blanco will be intentionally walked. A little surprising to you in this spot. I mean, Blanco's not a big threat, and Dickey struck him out his first time.
He's not a big threat. Maybe the thought is, and Hansen already has a base hit. Maybe the thought is that Blanco has that short stroke, which might be the best kind of stroke against a knuckleball pitcher.
So the first walk by Dickey is an intentional one.
I would sure like to get the Blanco out, though, and have Hansen leading off the fifth.
I would, too. In the fourth inning, your team's going to bat around two more times. But maybe Jerry feels it's shaping up to be a pitcher's duel.
Yeah, he feels a low-scoring game.
So Hansen, who floated a single into shallow right center his first time up, bats here with 2 out and 2 on. Hansen has 3 runs batted in this year, 4 in his career. And a first pitch fastball for a strike. Escobar at second and Blanco at first with 2 out.
And that's another thing I did, Gary. I always look fastball first pitch off a knuckleballer. And you do not let him sneak the first one by you. If you throw you a knuckleball, the knuckleball, you can still go up the middle, and you're looking for that fastball, and if it's a hanger, you can still attack it because it's not a pitch with a lot of velocity. If he throws you that fastball, you're not letting him sneak it by you. But of course, Nico never threw you a first pitch fastball.
Dickey wants a new baseball. One he can better dig his fingernails into.
Yeah, that last one didn't knuckle, so he needs the knuckle one.
It's like the old thing of sending a rookie out to get me a bucket of curveballs.
I'm surprised how many go after it.
Slashed foul. Got into the seats in a hurry.
With men in scoring position here and the pitcher up, look at this. Boy, way in. And I agree. And shaded to the opposite field.
Shallow enough to throw Hansen out at first base. 1-2. Little dribbler, and Dickey's got it. Side retired. A double and 2 left. Middle of the fourth, tied at 1.
We haven't done our Verizon Live Ask the Booth yet, Gary. Figure it's a good time for it right now. Good game at Citi Field. I found Matt from Jericho. Matt, what do you got for the guys?
What are the chances of the Mets acquiring Roy Oswalt now that Cliff Lee was dealt away?
It's a good question, guys. And, with Lee going to Texas today, the reaction of the Met clubhouse was, I think as good as you can be. They said all the right things. I'm sure there was some disappointment, but Johan Santana said, look, would it be nice to have a guy, that quality arm, to add that guy? Of course, but to be fair, we thought leaving spring training, we had a good enough team and a good enough staff. So Johan Santana, the guy's saying the right things, but Matt has a good question. Now what's next? Guys, take it away.
Well, I think that's a really good question, and I don't really know what the answer to that is. I know the Mets are in the market for a top-quality starting pitcher, but the question is, what does that top-quality starting pitcher cost you in terms of young talent? Jason Bay leads off and takes ball one.
Well, I think a guy like Oswalt, and that was a good question. I think chances of Roy being here are almost nil. He's owed so much money. 32-year-old right-hander. He's had a couple of injuries the last couple of seasons. Coming off a one-hit complete game, of course. I'm a big Oswalt fan. You gotta like what he can do. But I think if you're going to get someone, you got a nice intact team. You got some young players that you want to see develop, like Mejia, like Flores. It might be one of those other kind of guys, like a Westbrook who was hit hard last night, or a Ted Lilly is a name that people have mentioned. But that gives you another left-hander in the starting rotation. What does that mean? I don't know.
Well, you'd be replacing a lefty with a lefty.
Yeah, you're right.
Because you'd be taking Takahashi out. But I think Lilly might be the perfect guy. Again, I don't know how much these guys necessarily cost in terms of talent, and whether the Mets are willing to give up the Henry Mejias or the Wilmer Flores as the guys who they consider to be their most high-end talent in order to get a pitcher for the remainder of the season.
I mean, everybody wants Cliff Lee. They want a guy out there who's going to dominate every fifth day. There's not that many guys out there. So if you're going to take the next level, get someone that you know is durable, is going to give you innings, and a guy that preferably has pitched maybe some postseason ball or some big games.
Or in Lilly's case, has pitched in New York. Here's a 3-1 to Bay, and it's foul back. I think that becomes important, too, because you make a deal for a guy in mid-season and bring him to New York. You're not quite sure what you're getting if he hasn't pitched here before. The Rangers having themselves a fabulous year and certainly adding to their chances by acquiring Lee today for Justin Smoke and 3 minor leaguers. 3-2 to Bay. Struck him out, so Hansen comes from behind in the count to pick up his 4th strikeout.
Ronnie, I have a question for you. Do you feel that a team, it's a negative to have too many left-handers in the starting rotation? As opposed to too many right-handers?
Yeah, I think it'd be a negative if all the pitchers are the same kind of pitcher. Remember that San Diego team that had all the right-handed sinker-slider guys? Yes. Eric Schau, Eddie Whitson, all those guys. Well, they were all very talented, but after seeing sinker-slider every day for a 3-game series, you can usually figure them out. But most left-handers are a lot different now. If you had a lot of guys who threw, maybe like Tom Glavine was here, more of a change-up kind of guy, I don't think that would be a good thing. But Lilly is a strikeout pitcher.
Well, in the early 90s with the Mets, you had Viola, Sid, and Bobby O all on the same staff. 3 very different kinds of left-handers.
Well, I will tell you from my own experience, I was shipped over to the 1991 Oakland A's, who were in the midst of a pennant race with the Minnesota Twins. And I was taken because, I had a couple of down years, or really 2 down years. No, I shouldn't say that. I won 14 games in 89. 90 was a bad year. 91, no one knew what to do with me, and they shipped me off. I was in Montreal and then shipped over to Oakland in the middle of a pennant race. And I was shipped over there because I was a guy that they knew would make every start, was going to be dependable for 7 innings or more, and would kind of round out their rotation.
Tolley goes down swinging, and that's the 2nd out.
And, the A's finished 2nd that year because the Minnesota Twins are a much better team. But having pitched in New York and in the postseason, going to a new team in the middle of a pennant race it didn't seem any problem for me.
Well, there are some guys who thrive in that situation. Everybody talks about the deal in which the Braves picked up John Smoltz for half a year of Doyle Alexander. But Bill Alexander went to Detroit, went 9-1 down the stretch that year, and helped them get into the postseason.
Right.
I was very happy to see Doyle Alexander get out of the league. He had a curve. Oh boy, did he have a wicked curveball.
Popped up. Retreating is Escobar. Coming on is Hinsky to call him. And that retires the side. First 1, 2, 3 inning of the night for Tommy Hanson. We're through 4 at Citi Field, tied at 1. Frank Court turned down a football scholarship to Clemson after being drafted by the Braves in 2002.
I think he made the right choice.
Pretty cool to be a Tiger, though.
You think? He ever wonders what life would be like in the NFL?
Maybe every day. Or after an offer. Maybe that's when he thinks about it.
Top of the order for the Braves.
Well, it's top of the order because the Mets decided to walk Blanco intentionally to get through the 4th. So you got Prado leading off in the 5th. Prado's 0 for 2 tonight, and he takes a strike.
Well, I tell you, it's a giveaway, though. Every time Tolley sits inside on the first pitch to a right-hander, a little whistle from the on-deck circle. You know you're going to get one, a fastball inside.
To the right side. And Tejada makes the play for the first out. So the Mets have held the Lee's leading hitter in check. Prado now 0 for 3. And now Melky Cabrera, who singled the center in the first and scored the Braves' only run. Then retired on a fine diving stop by Ike Davis, leading off in the 3rd. Well, his last start in Washington, Dickey gave up 2 unearned runs, the result of a Ruben Tejada error playing shortstop on a potential double play ball. And tonight, an unearned run on an error by the shortstop, Jose Reyes, on what should have been an inning ending out of the 1st. So no earned runs in his last 2 outings, after easily his worst outing of the year before that in Puerto Rico against the Marlins.
Dickey's unbelievable. Throws strikes, works quickly, does all the things that you want to see from your pitcher.
0-2 to Melky. And the knuckleball sits high.
I recall, Gary, the post-game interview. I think it was with Dan Uggla when they beat up on Dickey, and it was they were very much aware of his knuckleball inside, putting a little something extra on it. I remember his comments with Kevin after the game were pretty astute. A good scouting report on Dickey.
Great strike to ball ratio for RA tonight.
1-2 to Cabrera, and he fouls one at the plate. Robert Allen Dickey from Nashville, Tennessee. What a story he's become.
Boy, nice article in the New York Times today by Tyler Kepner on R.A. Dickey. It was just fantastic. Thinking man's knuckleball pitcher.
Wanted to be an English professor. That was his fallback if this baseball thing hadn't worked out. Popped up. Wright has the call. 2 out. So 2 up and 2 set aside. Well, back before he was a knuckleballer, R.A. Dickey was a first-round draft pick by the Texas Rangers. The guy could throw 95 miles an hour at one point.
Didn't even look like the same person there, those early shots.
And just a tad of success with Texas. We saw him as a Seattle Mariner at Shea Stadium a few years ago, and he pitched a great game against the Mets when he was just learning the knuckleball. That's one of those New York appearances.
That's right.
With that 0.75 ERA in the big town.
Pitched for the Twins last season.
Omar Infante twice has gone to right field. He's 2 for 2. And this time Dickey falls behind him 2-0.
Here's your 2-0, Keith. Infante looking fastball.
He should be, but not trying to do anything but just hit a line drive. He's not a home run hit.
And he gets the fastball, and it's a strike. Get with the game plan. Brian McCann on deck. But so far, Infante has enjoyed hitting against the knuckleball, so why not wait for when he can take to right field again? There you see the home and road numbers on Dickey. Not bad on the road, but spectacular at home. Now behind 3-1. And Infante pulls one through the hole, and he's 3 for 3. Well, here we were questioning his all-star status, and he's having himself a huge night. 6 hits now off Dickey, and at least 1 in each inning.
Knuckleball that stays up, doesn't move.
So Infante at first with 2 out, and now Brian McCann, who flied out to right in the first, and then struck out as part of a strike him out, throw him out double play to end the third. 83 pitches for Dickey, working with 2 out in the 5th, more than you'd expect considering he has not issued an unintentional walk.
I'd be apt here to try to Infante on a knuckleball, try to steal that base.
3 steals on the year for Infante. And Dickey, for the second straight hitter, falls behind 2-0. Now, I'm not sure you're going to throw a 2-0 fastball to McCann.
He just threw a 1-0 fastball that missed. That cost him.
Very careful here if you do.
And he throws the knuckleball and gets it over 2-1.
Good choice.
Good choice with the off speed, too. Maybe getting a hitter over anxious, trying to do too much. Try to get him to roll it over. Fastball away. Oh, very sneaky. Nope, a knuckleball.
I guess one for Dickey is the knuckleball.
I guess 1 is the knuckleball.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's a different pecking order.
I guess we'll take a peek here.
Now he's behind 3-1. And he missed with it, ball 4. So there's the first unintentional walk by Dickey. 2 out and 2 on, and Troy Gloss coming up, and Tolley and he will discuss the signs.
Well, it's obvious that R.A. Dickey did not want anything to do once he got behind to Brian McCann, who's one of the hottest hitters coming in. And of course, Gloss, as Gary mentioned before, has been in a bad streak.
Gloss tonight has reached on an error and struck out 0 for 2. 6 hits in his last 52 at bats. But a dangerous hitter, 14 homers, 56 RBIs for Gloss on the year. So a big spot for Dickey in a tie game.
It's a big game for both clubs. You know, take the first game, the Braves go up by 4 right before the All-Star break, and the Mets can close it to 2.
Gloss first pitch swinging, fouls one off the right side. Davis to the railing. Not flippable. 0-1.
Every 3-game series, it's always obviously it's important to win the first one, but in big series like this, in division,
Corey, you want to take that first game. And the Braves have been so great. And their last 18 series played, they're 14-1-3. So they've been doing it the way you're supposed to do it. Win series.
Gloss lines one, base hit. Here comes Infante around third. Francoeur's throw will go to third base. And out by a mile is McCann, but the run crosses the plate before McCann is tagged out. And the Braves take a 2-1 lead on Troy Gloss's RBI single. Francoeur picks up his 8th outfield assist of the year as he guns down his buddy McCann by about 30 feet. Run of the first. David Wright sacrifice fly played in the only Met run. R.A. Dickey, first earned run he's allowed in his last 2 starts. Jeff Francoeur helping to ensure no further damage, although what his friend McCann was thinking, I'm not quite sure.
Well, the ball was in the gap. There's no chance to throw the guy out at home. It was just a bad base running blunder. He's still out there in scoring position to be driven in with Henske coming up. It was poor judgment.
Ruben Tejada takes a strike.
You know, Tejada, after watching Hansen move around that mound earlier in those bunt situations, I thought he would come out and try to push one towards the second baseman and beat Hansen to the bag. Try to get on base.
Tejada hit a foul fly to right to end the second inning. Just 1 hit in his last 20 at bats. R.A. Dickey on deck, and then Angel Pagan here at the bottom of the 5th as the Mets try and scratch from behind for a second time against 23-year-old Tommy Hansen. One and 2 to Ruben. Kansas 1-2, and another slider pulled down to third. And Infante throws out Tejada for the first out.
Well, we'll take a look at the throw from Francoeur. Watch him come around the ball, momentum forward. The play's in front of him. You can see he had no chance of throwing out. He looks up, no chance to throw out the runner at home, and he knows he's got McCann dead to rights.
He's got that nice Iron Mike kind of throw, straight over the top. You know what the funny thing is, and you said this between innings, Ronnie, if McCann were a little faster, there's a chance that tag could have been made before Infante crossed the plate.
Yeah, it would have cost him a run.
But because he's so slow, it took him so long to get to third base. No chance.
That's right. You know, interesting enough, watching Francoeur on that play, he had every intention of getting to it to maybe have a chance at home. But once he got to it, he knew he couldn't and altered almost his throwing motion by getting it to third base. Not many right fielders can do that.
Dickey keeps the at-bat alive.
What is that now, 78?
78.
78. It's 9 this year.
It's 8 this year.
8 this year.
Ties up for the league lead with Michael Bourne of the Astros. The thing about the guys with the best arms, they don't usually lead the league in assists because people don't run on them. But we've seen a couple recently for Francoeur and another hit for Dickey. How about that? Ari Dickey's 2 for 2. He's now hitting over 300 on the year.
Oh, a hanger, and he stayed in. How about that?
Got a home run from Santana 3 nights ago. Neese had a double, ground rule double down the left field line, and a couple hits from Dickey. 3 consecutive games.
Dickey's now 5 for 16. That's 313 in your scorebook. So tying run at first with 1 out. And here's Pagan, who's 2 for 2, single to left, and then had a bunt hit in the third. He's also stolen a base tonight. And he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. It's been the theme all night for Tommy Hanson. First pitch, fastball, strike.
He loves to pour that fastball in the outside corner, both to lefties and righties.
And one thing he does, though, usually keeps it down. So if you're a hitter and that ball's down, you want to take it.
15 of 19 first pitch strikes for Hanson.
Oh, after him with 2 fastballs. Good cut by Pagan.
Tommy Hanson, just a 22nd round pick coming out of high school in 2005. Boy, has he panned out.
Well, you know, you have when you watch a young pitcher, you want to watch how tentative he is sometimes in the strike zone. Hanson does not have that problem. He is very aggressive.
Right-only Reyes on deck. Tommy Hanson last year finished 3rd in the Rookie of the Year balloting, despite not coming up till the late part of May.
Late part of May.
Went 11 and 4. And finished 3rd in a very crowded rookie field last year.
Oh,
and he gets Pagan with 3 fastballs for the second out. 6 strikeouts now for Hanson.
Wow. Changed the whole program on Pagan here. Just poured him through. That's paint on it.
A lot of movement, too.
Little late sink.
So now 2 out. And it's left to Reyes, who's been up there looking to bunt his first 2 at bats. Struck out in the first, then sacrificed successfully in the third. Now he's going to get to swing it here with 2 out and a runner at first. Although with where Infante's playing at third base, if he drops one down that way, he could walk to first base with David Wright on deck.
That would be a great idea with Wright red hot on the on-deck circle, particularly if Jose is not comfortable at the dish with that oblique.
Which he clearly is not. And I think it's not so much the oblique as the right on right against a tough pitcher. And it gets by McCann, and that'll get Dickey down to second. Wild pitch by Hanson, just his 3rd of the year.
Well, just held on to this slider too long and just bounced it before the plate. No chance for McCann. Hit him in the right arm, in fact.
So now the tying run in scoring position. Base hit wouldn't necessarily get Dickey home.
Oh, hanger right there on a tee. Next, we get a little visit from McCann as they get on top. Look at this helicopter. Oh.
The adjustments you make from pitch to pitch. He bounced the slider, so he wanted to raise his sights a little bit. Ended up throwing the one that just sat right in the middle of the plate.
Yes, he did.
Got away with it.
But from Reyes' perspective, not used to seeing the ball come that way.
Well, the ball's always
adjustment is that.
Yeah, the ball's always been breaking into him from the right-hander, and now it's breaking away. It's a whole different look. I think a very challenging kind of thing to deal with. I'm assuming Jose's natural side is as a right-handed hitter.
And he lines one to left field, but right at Hinsky, but it goes over his head. It'll tie up the game. Reyes to second with an RBI double, and it's 2-2.
Toughest play for a left fielder. That line drive hit right at him. Jose stays in on the hanger. He breaks in. It's too late. We talked earlier about the Braves' outfield defense. There's the weak link right there in Hinsky, and just misplayed it.
So Reyes makes the adjustment at the plate. Hinsky misplays the line drive, and the Mets rally to tie for a second time. R.A. Dickey has scored both Met runs tonight.
A wild pitch is huge. He would not have scored in that ball from first.
And David Wright takes ball one.
Was the IOTV pitch differential, wanted a slider down and away, and he hung two. And this is the second one, not missed by Reyes.
See, now he was used to that ball breaking away from him. He figured it out. Just his third right-on-right hit of his career in 17 at-bats. David fists one foul, and Loss can't get there running on that bad knee.
This is going to be, as the Braves move forward in the second half, that is going to be the challenge for them, to be able to make enough plays defensively for their pitching staff.
Well, especially with Hayward and McLeod out, that outfield is so challenged defensively. Well, it's going to be even worse tonight. They were going to have Infante playing right and Cabrera playing center. At least with Blanco in center and Cabrera in right, they're a little more fortified.
Better not go down, drop down that breaking ball with David Wright.
Pickoff try, and just getting back is Reyes. You hate to see Reyes having to dive with that oblique. He went with a feet first slide the other night, but here no choice but to go with hands first. You can see him wince as he went down.
He's hurt.
There he goes. He had it again.
You know what you do? You try to pick him off again.
I wonder if that one's going to be enough to knock him out of the game. 1-1 to right. And David boops one into right center, but on comes Blanco to pick it off and end the inning. Mets get even. Jose Reyes hurting. One comes. continues tomorrow afternoon at 4:10 p.m. Get the best seats direct from the Mets at Mets.com or call 718-507-TIXX. 2-2 ball game as we start the 6th inning. Eric Hinske leads off for Atlanta and takes a knuckleball for a strike. Hinske is 0 for 2, struck out and fly to center field. The Braves have led twice tonight. R.A. Dickey has scored a run each time to get the Mets even. Hinske, then Escobar and Blanco, 6, 7, and 8 in the order for Atlanta. Dickey trying for his 7th win against 1 defeat. Hinske trying to time his swing on that knuckleball and failing. 1 and 2. Now the 1-2 to Hinske, and right back to Dickey. And for the 6th straight inning, R.A. retires the leadoff hitter. Let's check in with Chris Carlin, standing by with the New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. Caro had a game-tying hit with 2 out of the 9th last night against Brad Lidge before the Phillies won that game in extra inning. And the big night for Johnny Gomes, 4 RBIs tonight for the Reds.
Saw that Madsen's back for Philadelphia. He blew a save also in that game.
Phillies are just trying to tread water and stick around behind the Braves and the Mets until they can figure something out. I mean, they're not going to get Utley back till September. That's not a piece they're going to figure out, but they have to figure out how to be better in their bullpen. 1-1 to Escobar, who doubled his last time up and takes off the plate 2-1.
You know, Gary, you mentioned the pitch count for R.A. Dickey now to 97, but one of the keys for Jerry as he moves forward here, everyone's going to have extra days off because of the All-Star break. Dickey's a guy you can go to 120, 125 pitches.
He's going to pitch next Thursday, so he'll have 1 extra day. He threw 115 in his last start against Washington. That's a season high for him in the big leagues, but he's thrown as many as 121 in a minor league start this year. As that knuckleball doesn't put nearly the stress on your arm that a regular pitcher gets. This one past Dickey's glove, but Tejada there to field it. And Escobar retired for the 2nd out.
Every time Dickey runs out here, he just saves that bullpen. He goes deep into ball games. Mets have been getting a lot of length out of their starters, and it showed in the bullpen. The bullpen has not been overtaxed.
You missed it earlier today. The Mets sent a reliever down. They sent Ryota Igarashi down to Single-A St. Lucie. And Jerry Manuel says he probably isn't coming back at least until the end of the next road trip. Mets adding an extra bat, bringing up Nick Evans. There's Gregor Blanco, who's 0 for 1 on a walk. Of course, the Mets are going with an extra reliever with Takahashi in the bullpen during this stretch. So they're really not short out there. And a fastball strike to Blanco, 1-1.
Look at that big choke up. Almost, that's 3-inch choke up.
Almost about the same as Josh Toll.
That's right.
You see so few guys these days choke up like that.
The classic choke up when it shows you don't have to hold the bat down at the end of the knob and hit home with power. Barry Bonds choked up.
Slash down to 3rd, and David's got it. And the sidearm toss gets Blanco. And R.A. Dickey has his first 1-2-3 inning of the night on
Looks like Davis will lead it off. Should be another good pitcher's duel tomorrow. It'll be Mike Pelfrey against Tim Hudson. And Hudson's had a great rebound year. Came back off Tommy John surgery after only just about 12 months, a little longer than 12 months, and pitched September last year for the Braves, but has been great this year, 8-4, low ERA. He's an all-star for a reason. And, guys, I talked to him about that comeback and that process. And he said, well, I'll tell you, it was interesting. You know, when just before I was getting set to make the rehab starts last year, I was throwing on the side to a couple of hitters, and I'm telling you, it felt like it was coming out at about 80 miles an hour. And I asked the guys, I said, oh, yeah, coming out great, looking great. And he said, I knew they were lying. I mean, there's no question they were lying. So you start to doubt yourself. But the first rehab start I made, I got in, I threw my first fastball, and I actually looked up because I was really curious what the gun would say. It said 92. And I was really kind of comfortable after that. But I'll tell you what, he said, I also really feel like I benefited by coming back and only pitching in the 1 month before getting a chance to rehab some more. Because, you know, there'd be starts where, you know, my arm didn't hurt, but you literally hit the third inning, and I'd be like, well, wait a second, I got 3 or 4 more of these to go. You get to like 50 pinches, and it would just kind of hit a wall. So this year, it's a totally different thing. I feel strong. I feel great. And obviously, the results have been there. Guys?
It's a great success story, not only for Tim Hudson, but for surgeons who perform these operations. You look at a guy like Hudson or like Billy Wagner, guys at more advanced ages who are coming back and throwing as well as ever after Tommy John surgery. It's remarkable.
You know, Tommy John surgery has been around for a long period of time, but the success rate and the way the guys come back from it is a lot different than it was in my day.
2-1 to Ike Davis leading off the home sixth. And Ike takes a fastball away, and for a rare time tonight, Hansen's behind in the count. Only the third man to get to a 3-ball count against Hansen, who has not walked a batter, giving up 2 runs on 6 hits. Ike is a comebacker and struck out 0 for 2. And he pops one up. Escobar, the shortstop, waving everybody away, and now drifting, and it falls! And Davis hustling into second base. Well, Escobar said he had it all the way and nobody came to help, and it turned out he didn't have it all the way. And it's a pop fly double for Ike Davis.
He's just drifting. I got it. That's not a good effort.
Well, the best, worst body language of any shortstop in the league. That is
just inexcusable in an important game in the sixth inning.
And it was a terrible play by Escobar. But why was Gregor Blanco not even attempting to get anywhere near him?
Yeah, he should be close. Hinske, with his speed, he can't get there. So it's got to be the shortstop's ball. And hopefully, I think that the center fielder Blanco gave up on it. He thought that Escobar had it in his back pocket.
He is forgiven. Escobar, it's on him. He's got a bust out there.
Now Jason Day trying to take advantage. Go ahead run at second. And Day takes the slider off the plate for ball 1. Jason's lined to left and struck out 0 for 2. Well, the Braves took advantage of a break, getting an unearned run in the first inning on Reyes' error. Now the Mets trying to take advantage of the mistake by the Atlanta shortstop. And the curveball fouled at the plate, 1-1. And Hansen's trying to get that curveball up a little bit.
He is. I'm more focused on Bay, and Bay is just, you can just read the frustration. He is just jumping too quick. That was a hanger right there for me. He needs a little 3 days off. I said it last night. He needs 3 days. Not last night, 2 nights ago. He needs the All-Star break.
Yeah. They gets buzzed. 2-1.
Fastball in, little slider away.
On 2-1. They fouls off that slider, and he had a pitch to hit. 2-2.
He knows it. We see it up here, but I guarantee you, in his mind's eye, going, what is going on here? I should have crushed that pitch. You got McCann who likes to call outside corner a lot. He's a catcher who likes to call outside corner.
2-2. And it misses away and a full count. That's as hard a pitch as Hansen's thrown all night. Up to 91 pitches on the evening. Hansen has not walked the batter. He's struck out 6. 3-2 to Bay. And he takes it and somehow missed ball 4. The first walk of the night for Hansen. A very tough pitch to take. A pack-up slider on 3-2. And the Mets have the first 2 men on.
Well, Bobby's barking at him. This is the first indoor slider he threw. Indoor meaning he starts it right at the hip of Bay and breaks it over the inside corner of the plate. That is a good pitch.
That nipped it, I think.
Very close. Tough pitch to take. Well, now Josh Thole will be the batter, and let's see how the Mets decide to play this. Thole, a terrific contact hitter. Would you bunt with him in this spot?
I would bunt with him. I know that he has the great record. He's 8 for 14. This is a game you're trying to push across a run. Thole is a contact hitter, but he also is a double play threat because he doesn't run that well.
Part of the problem with bunting here is getting Davis from second to third. They really make a pretty good bunt.
Josh is well schooled. He's been taught how to play the right way. I bet you can get that bunt down. Jerry's played pretty conservative all year long.
1 for 2 tonight. Single to right and struck out. Tie game, 6th inning. Braves playing for the bunt, and Thole gives himself up. And lays down a nice bunt. The throw going to third on the wheel play, and Davis is out.
Beautiful call by Bobby Cox.
They charge with the third baseman Infante. The shortstop Escobar covers third, and they get the first down of the inning.
This is called the wheel play. It's usually your number 3 play. What happens here is usually the shortstop is behind. He breaks, and then he'll go this way. This allows the third baseman to vacate, and now we'll roll. I mean, Escobar is giving it away, Ronnie, right here, basically.
If you see the shortstop, you're the hitter, shortstop vacates that area, you have to swing the bat.
You got a rookie up there. Boy, it's a tough call.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. You don't want to get yelled at by your manager.
No, you don't. Just don't want to show initiative.
I think that it might have been that the Braves felt that with Davis' lack of speed, they didn't have to disguise it.
Or they didn't have to disguise it. But once they don't disguise it, that is something that I don't know if they talked to Josh before he went up there, or Chip Hale could have came down and say, listen, if they play the wheel play, or yell to Josh, step out of the box, step out of the box. He steps out, ask him to come down and say, listen, if they vacate with the shortstop and they're going to do the wheel play, you have to swing the bat, young man.
That's why sometimes teams will fake the wheel play, get the hitter to swing, and try and get a double play out of it. Exactly. Used to do that with Bobby Valentine all the time.
Yep.
So now 2 aboard and 1 out for Jeff Francoeur. Tomorrow will be exactly 1 year since Jeff was traded from the Braves to the Mets for Ryan Church. He's had a terrific calendar year, but boy, would it be meaningful for him to contribute something right now, particularly with the potential loss of playing time coming next week. Francoeur is 0 for 2. He's popped up and flied out. And nobody covering as Hansen takes a look at Bay. Eric O'Flaherty, one of 3 lefties in the Atlanta bullpen. They've got Johnny Venters, and they've also got Billy Wagner, of course, their closer.
And they're all 3 having great years.
Francoeur bounces one right near the bag at second. The play has to go to first, and off the bag gloss to make the tag. A very lazy throw by Escobar, and fortunate to get Francoeur at first base for the second out.
It's like Escobar is just out to lunch.
Almost got his first baseman hurt. He might have got him hurt with that left wrist.
That's the kind of play Cliff Floyd got hurt on at Shea Stadium a number of years ago. And you could see Gloss recoil after making that tag. Well, Escobar just having a dreadful year at the plate and in this inning in the field.
Oh, he's hot. Let me tell you something. He is not happy. They're going to lose him because of this lackadaisical la-di-da play.
Gloss has already been hurting with his knee and with his ankle. And now his left wrist an issue as well because of Escobar's poor toss. When we resume, the Mets will have second and third and 2 out, and Jesus Feliciano has come out of the dugout. Appears he'll bat for Ruben Tejada. Now they've got the lefty up in the bullpen, but I don't think Hansen's going anywhere. Meanwhile, Loss might be.
He's got to ice it tonight. He's not happy with Escobar.
Try and stay in. Elmer descends up in the Mets bullpen. But right now it's Feliciano hitting for Tejada. With the pitcher spot due up next, and Dickey is on deck.
Well, let's see what Bobby Cox opts to do here.
Well, with Tejada leaving, that means Cora is going to be in the game anyway. So if they walk Feliciano, you'd probably bring up.
They're going to bring the left-hander. They're bringing the lefty. How about that?
So they're taking Hansen out after 94 pitches over 5 2/3 innings. A little surprised by this?
Yes.
Well, indeed, they are taking him out.
I think they're making the move because he thinks Jerry's going to counter move with Nick Evans.
This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Lincoln Mercury. 2-2 game in the 6th. We'll be right back.
His 41st game, as Bobby Cox has gone to his left-handers.
So the lefty's hitting just 203 against him. Feliciano stays in. He's 1 for 6 as a pinch hitter, and he takes a first pitch strike. Mets are just 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight. A base hit here could give them the lead. Feliciano bounces one slowly. Prado comes in to play it, and the soft toss is in time to get him. And the Mets are turned aside after a leadoff double by Ike Davis. Still a 2-2 game after 6. Jeff Francoeur in the last half inning.
That's all very clean. That was not a bad play by Francoeur. Francoeur was trying to dip underneath.
And you see here, he thinks he's angry at Francoeur, and he really should be angry at his shortstop for that lollipop he threw over to him.
I think he thought Francoeur was trying to give him the shoulder. What Francoeur was trying to do is dip underneath the tag.
All clean.
Brooks Conrad to pinch hit against R.A. Dickey as we start the 7th. Conrad batting for O'Flaherty, who came on to get the final out in the 6th.
He's been their #1 pinch hitter, 8 for 33, 2 home runs, 6 RBI. That's nice.
A switch hitter. A lot of switch hitters will bat right-handed against a right-handed knuckleballer, but Conrad opts to go lefty and quickly behind 0-2. Martin Prado on deck, and then Melky Cabrera for the Braves in the 7th. Well, the Mets got a gift double to lead off the 6th inning when Escobar misplayed a pop-up, but unable to convert as the Braves ran a successful wheel play to help them get out of the inning. Defense giveth, defense taketh away.
Well, Brooks Conrad has gotten big hits for them all season long. He hit a grand slam home run to tie up a game earlier this season where Nate McLeod won with a walk-off later. He's driven in a run with a suicide squeeze.
Alex Corin now playing second base after Tejada left for a pinch hitter. Dickey about to throw his 108th pitch of the night, and Conrad fouls it off. For Dickey, this is his 10th start. He's got at least 6 innings in 9 of the 10.
Outstanding.
Giving up just 1 earned run over 6 innings tonight. But as he was in his last start, locked in a duel with Tommy Hanson, who's now out of the game. Two and two now to Conrad.
If R.A. keeps it here and doesn't give up another run, that would be 7 out of his 10 starts, 2 earned runs or less. That's good stuff.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out. So Conrad is down. That's 6 strikeouts for Dickey. This man is riding an undulating wave.
Down and in.
How does Tolley know where to put the glove to catch that ball?
He's doing a great job.
Especially on a 3rd strike. That's huge.
It's a tsunami wave he's riding right here. Yeah, you're right.
That's confidence.
Confidence, repetitions, experience of catching.
Here's Prado, who's 0 for 3, 2 ground outs and a strikeout. He takes outside. Let's check in with Kevin.
For 3 straight years, Martin Prado, starting at the age of 12, tried to make the Venezuelan Pan Am Games team. It was an international team. They played countries like Mexico, things like that. And he got cut for 3 straight years. But he played against guys that did make the team, such as Miguel Cabrera and Frankie Rodriguez. And he remembered Rodriguez. He said, I'm telling you one thing. At age 13, he was throwing 90 and had a nasty hook at age 13. They went on to play on that team. He didn't, but he's kind of making up for it right now, don't you think?
He's having a fantastic year, but he just got a 2-0 fastball that he hadn't fouled it off.
That was down, though. It was a good spot for R.A. Dickey. You know, it's not like Prado is just busted on the scene. He had 38 doubles last season. He had a nice season.
Showing more power this year. Had 11 homers last year. He's already got 10 this year, including 3 in the last 2 games against the Phillies. Pedro Feliciano up in the Mets bullpen. Dickey's fallen behind Prado 3-1 with Melky Cabrera on deck. And fouled away another fastball, but he kept it away from him.
At 86 miles an hour.
Kept it down, too.
Each team with 2 runs and 7 hits. 3-2 to Prado. Knuckleball hit out to right field, and Francoeur is there for the 2nd out. 5 in a row retired by Dickey after Gloss's RBI hit in the 5th.
Prado just does not look comfortable off the knuckleballer.
That's because he looked comfortable against everyone else.
Well, Jerry's theory has been to pitch R.A. every time he can in the first game of the series, figuring it messes up the opposition the rest of the way. He'll have him pitch the opener in San Francisco as well. You can keep Prado off balance for a couple of days. That's half the work right there. Hit in the air to deep right off the bat of Cabrera. Back goes Frank Core near the wall, and it's out of here.
Whoa.
Off the Pepsi porch for a home run from Melky Cabrera, his third of the year. And the Braves have taken a 3-2 lead. Dickey had not allowed a home run in each of the last 6 starts, but Cabrera gets a hold of one to untie it for Atlanta.
That's the first home run he's given up against a left-hander. Oh, there's no doubt here. Let's watch. Knuckleball that didn't knuckle, Ronnie. Right there, right in the wheelhouse. No doubt.
It came on Dickey's 117th pitch, the most he's thrown in a big league game this year. So for the third time today, the Braves have taken a 1-run lead. That's the third home run for Melky Cabrera. Omar Infante is 3 for 3 tonight. 2 singles to right, a single to left. And a high fly ball deep left field. Back goes Bay to the track near the wall, and it is out of here. A home run for Omar Infante. Cabrera and Infante, who had 3 home runs between them this season, go back-to-back against R.A. Dickey in the 7th, and it's 4-2 Atlanta. The second of the year for Infante, who has a 4-for-4 night.
And this man was not in the lineup, penciled in the lineup. Late scratch of Chipper Jones. Oh, look at they're fired up. Oh boy, just got it.
Off the top of the wall and over. So Dickey is out after giving up back-to-back home runs. He had allowed just 2 home runs this season in his first 9 starts. But at the end of his assignment tonight, back-to-back homers by a couple of unlikely candidates, Cabrera and Infante, make it 4-2 Atlanta. Wow. The Braves have taken a 4-2 lead here in the 7th. And the first pitch slider is off the plate, ball 1. Well, R.A. Dickey had 2 out and nobody on in the 7th in a tie game. 3 pitches later, he's given up back-to-back home runs, and now McCann follows with a base hit into the corner. He'll head for second and make it easily. 3 straight extra base hits for the Braves here in the 7th.
Page was trying to right the ship. He's struggled over his last 3 2/3 innings. 3 runs, 7 hits. He's walked 1. He's hit a batter. He's trying to find that control.
Now Troy Gloss will be walked intentionally. And the Mets will pitch to Eric Hinsky with 2 men on.
Well, boy, Bobby Cox could counter here because Hinsky is not a defense. He's going to pinch hit for him, absolutely, because Hinsky is your weak link out there defensively. So you've got Matt Diaz on the bench.
He's not great shakes defensively, but is a killer against left-hand pitching.
And I got to believe that there'll be a move, 2 moves made.
So Diaz is coming out of the dugout to pinch hit. Diaz just recently back from the disabled list after having surgery on his infected thumb, and he's been swinging the bat extremely well the last few games.
It's hard to let Feliciano face Diaz because he owns lefties. Jerry's not going to let it happen. No, he can't. Cannot.
So Diaz comes up to pinch hit. DeSenz will come in to face him. We'll be right back. Elmer DeSenz in to pitch to the pinch hitter Matt Diaz and ties him up and in. And Diaz held the swing 1-0.
Well, equal opportunity. Elmer, who's pitched in the 8th inning. He's pitched long relief. He's been used here to try to get out of an inning. He had a nice streak earlier in the season, 14 scoreless innings over 15 outings.
Diaz hitting just .202, but swinging the bat much better since coming back from the disabled list a week ago. And the slider off the plate from DeSenz, 2-0. There were 2 out and nobody on in this inning before Cabrera and Infante hit back-to-back homers off Dickey. McCann followed with a double off Feliciano. Gloss intentionally walked, and now DeSenz trying to get the Mets through this troubled 7th inning. Behind on Diaz, 2-0. And now it's 3-0. Diaz has had 2 surgeries on his thumb over the last 2 years. Apparently it goes back to 4 years ago. He was doing some gardening and a palm frond sliver got into his thumb, and that's what caused all the infections and all the problems. And now they think they finally got it fixed. And he takes a strike, 3-1. Imagine that, taken down by a palm.
Another example, if you're a major leaguer, find a gardener.
By a frond to boot. Not palm I can understand, but a frond?
Diaz says he's no longer gardening. He's got a friend.
He's got to wear gloves.
Here's a 3-1, and he lifts one foul, 3-2.
The danger if you're in the Southwest is the jumping cholla. That's what you have to stay away from. The scorpions too. Black widow spiders.
Now the runners will be going with 3 and 2 and 2 out. McCann at second, Gloss at first will be on their way. 3-2 to Diaz. Hit hard, but right at Reyes. His play will be the first, and the inning is over. So DeSenz comes in to get a big out, but the Braves take the lead against R.A. Dickey. Melky Cabrera with his third home run of the year off the Pepsi porch. Omar Infante follows with his second. And now the Mets will have to fight from behind again. 4-2 Atlanta at the 7th inning stretch. And it is. Tommy Hanson has 19 major league wins in less than 400 days in the big leagues. With 5 active pitchers got their 20th win in fewer than 400 days. Matt Diaz stays in the game in left field. And on the pitch is lefty Johnny Venters. Of course, this is not Hanson's game to win. Eric O'Flaherty's pitcher of record on the long side after throwing just 2 pitches in the 6th inning.
Well, Venters has been outstanding all season long, 35. Remember, last year he was a starting pitcher in their chain, but has a nasty sinking fastball, good overhand curve.
First at bat of the year for Nick Evans, who was tearing it up at Binghamton. 15 home runs in Double-A this year. And Nick takes it wide, and it's 1-1. Going to start and stop beginning to Evans' big league career over the last couple of seasons. Bobby Parnell up in the Mets bullpen. Nick made his debut with the Mets in 2008. Had 3 doubles in his first game in the majors in Colorado. Remember that?
I sure do.
Hit 257 that year, 231 and 65 at bats last year. And called up today to give the Mets an extra right-handed bat. And here he is with Angel Pagan on deck. And Nick takes it on the outside corner, and it's 2-2.
Well, this is the big inning for the Bravos here because they can get to the 8th. They're going to get to Moylan and then to Billy Wagner.
Evans chases a fastball off the plate. And Venters fans the first man to face him.
And Ronnie, you called it. He's got some movement.
That's some movement, and I think it's got to help him being out there with Billy Wagner on his last year, getting some tutelage from the veteran. You know, those left-handers, they talk the same language.
1 out. Here's Angel Pagan, who's 2 for 3 tonight. Single to left, laid down a bunt hit. He stole on the base. Mets were down 1-0. They tied it in the 3rd. Mets were down 2-1. They tied it in the 5th. Now down 4-2 in the 7th. And Pagan takes wide for ball 1.
There's Billy. I think Atlanta was a perfect match for Billy. You know, I think a perfect city for him, perfect place for him to really get a comfort level. I know it's his last year.
He actually wanted to go to Washington when he became a free agent.
Would that be closer to his house, right?
Yeah, because he lives in Virginia.
Well, he's having an outstanding year. Good for him. Good guy.
He says it will be his last season. Although the more he continues to perform at this elite level, you have to wonder whether he's really going to pack it in when the year is over. Bold foul. If Billy gets in the game today, it will be his first game back here against the Mets since they let him go last year. He never got into the series when the Braves were here the first time around because the Mets won all 3 games and there were no save opportunities for Wagner. And the ball in the dirt as Pagan strikes out. McCann makes the toss, 2 out. Well, Venters badly confusing Angel Pagan, who strikes out for the 2nd time today.
The thing about Billy is that historically he's got a chance to do some things this year. Got a chance to have more strikeouts than any lefty reliever. He's a few away from Jesse Orozco. And with his 19 saves this year, if he ever does get to 40, if he can get to 40, he will pass Johnny Franco for the most saves by a left-hander.
Happiest man in the ballpark that's a lefty in the game? Probably Jose Reyes. He's been batting right-handed all night. See the numbers on Billy Wagner with those strikeouts. Think about Billy right now. He is throwing harder than he ever did as a Met on a more consistent basis since the Tommy John surgery.
Tighten the bolts on those wheels.
Give him another 80,000 miles.
Give him another 10 million.
They might talk about it.
Whoa, just a bit outside.
Nice call, Garrett. Oh. Oops.
Almost hit the ball.
I always thought that works more for the pitcher. There's the hitter standing up there trying to zone a pitcher in. He throws it 30 feet wide.
Slow ground ball for Prado to handle. A very dominant inning for Johnny Venters. 2 strikeouts and a weak ground ball after 7. 4-2 Atlanta. To you by StubHub, by Heineken Light, see the light, and by State Farm. Today's State Farm agent of the day is Gil Walton, of the Bronx. Bobby Farnell comes on to pitch the 8th inning for the Mets.
Well, Bobby, you see in his last, those are the numbers. good ERA. He's pitched awfully well since coming back from AAA. He's had a couple of hiccups, but you have to be very happy with the way his fastball has been for strikes and how the development of his hard slider has come around.
Now Escobar leads off the 8th inning, 1 for 3, and he lines one and Davis grabs it for the first down. Well, Escobar hit one down that way earlier in the game. This time finds the webbing on Davis. 1 pitch, 1 out. Let's check in with Chris Carlin for a New York State Smokers Quit Line game break. The only run against Strasburg tonight, a leadoff home run by Andres Torres in the first, and then he shut him out the rest of the way. Gregor Blanco takes a strike. Tim Hudson has come out on deck to be a pinch hitter for the Braves.
He's got 11 hits this season.
With Chipper Jones not available because of a back problem. That has limited Bobby Cox's bench. Nice bunt by Blanco. Davis can't get through Parnell to get to him. Parnell blocked the path of Davis, who might have had a chance to tag Blanco, but instead it's a bunt single.
I think that it was a mistake on the part of Davis, that Parnell was there to cover the bag. He couldn't get back. He couldn't beat it here. Give it to your pitcher here. And this is all experience. It comes in time. If you can't get there, Parnell's there. Give it to Parnell.
They almost shovel it off like a little handoff in football.
So Blanco gets the benefit with a bunt single. And now Hudson up there to pinch hit. The bench for Atlanta right now with Chipper out is the backup catcher David Ross and a late hitting backup shortstop Brandon Hicks. So Hudson the better option here for Bobby Cox. See if he's asked to hit or to bunt.
I think he'll be asked to bunt to get one shot from Martin Prado to drive in an insurance run.
And he gives himself up. And he bunts it down to Davis. Has a play at second but didn't take it. And settles for an out at first and almost lost that on a lollipop throw. I mean, Blanco's fast, but that ball bunted hard to Davis and he had time.
Well, we got the bird's eye view. There should be no doubt in his mind. He's out by a country mile. And then he can't take it for, can't assume. He's just feeling his way through. Those are all the growing pains, the learning process. But he certainly had him out by a mile.
Tough games to learn in.
Yeah,
yes,
you're right about that.
That's true.
Here's Martin Prado, who's 0 for 4 tonight. He hasn't had a lot of 0-fers this year. Trying to pick up Blanco from second with 2 out. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
That's just a big run out there in scoring position that shouldn't be there. Those are the kind of bunts, too, when you charge hard like that. You don't need help.
Yeah,
you know you got him at second.
Tadashi Saito getting ready to pitch the 8th inning. Mets will have the heart of the batting order up in the bottom of the 8th. And now it's 0-2 to Prado. It's rather elderly end of game tandem with Saito and Wagner in the 8th and 9th. I don't think any team has pitchers that age pitching late in games like that.
Well, I know that Billy was asked if Saito had anything left in the tank, and Wagner was very impressed with Saito over in Boston. So yes, he thought that Saito had plenty left, and he's been a great acquisition along with Billy.
Here's the 0-2, and Prado almost screws himself into the ground, fouling that ball off. That was odd.
Well, that's called getting seriously tied up inside. Like, take the handcuffs off. The ropes, please.
Fortunate to foul that pitch back. Stay in the at-bat.
Set me free.
He almost got strangled by his necklace that time. Time asked for is something's gotten loose. Parnell was all focused in and ready to pitch. The Braves have 11 hits tonight. The first 9 of them against R.A. Dickey, who's on the hook in this game. think he's still in the dugout an inning later. Ahead on Prado, 0-2. He struck him out. So Parnell puts away Prado. 0 for 5 for Prado, but 4-2 for Atlanta. The Mets have the heart of the batting order coming up in the bottom of the 8th. Wins before 400 days. Well, there are your active pitchers who have done that. Hudson Oswalt, Sabathia, Daisuke, and Andy Pettit.
Wow. And they're all good.
Well, yeah. Tachi Saito comes on to pitch the 8th inning for Atlanta.
We see his numbers. Very good. Just 11 walks in those 32 innings, 40 strikeouts. He had a stint on the DL this year with a pulled left hamstring.
Going back to his days with the Dodgers, the Mets have never had any luck at all against Saito.
Well, never. Broxton used to pitch the 8th. He's the closer now for the Dodgers, and Saito would pitch the 9th.
Saito's lifetime ERA against the Mets is 1.29. David Wright 0 for 2 in a sacrifice fly tonight. His 65th run batted in to lead the National League. Although if Adam Dunn keeps having many more nights like he's just had, he had 3 home runs Wednesday and 2 more tonight. Francisco Rodriguez hoping for a safe chance. Standing around in the Mets bullpen. Wright, Davis, and Bay for the Mets trying to get it done against Saito here in the 8th. And David hits one back up the middle for a base hit. So Wright gets it started with his first hit of the night and his 101st of the year.
Well, nicely done by Dave here. You can't hit a 3-run home run or 2-run home run to tie it up. So you want to just start the rally. Beautiful. I love the way he's squaring that back shoulder off. Look at that follow through. Beautiful.
So now the tying run comes to bat. Mike Davis had a lucky double his last time up, a pop-up that Yunel Escobar messed up. Mike is 1 for 3 on the night. That's got the first 2 men on in the 6th, but couldn't score. And then the next half inning, the Braves took the lead on back-to-back homers by Cabrera and Infante. And Davis takes the breaking ball for a strike.
Well, the IOTV pitch differential, he was behind 1-0. So what do you have to do? You can't always hit your spot. You have to center that ball a little more, hoping you get away with it. He did not. That's a pitch David could have pulled, and I love the way that he went up the middle with that.
Davis bounces a double play ball to Prado. Escobar can't make the turn as Wright came in solidly, and so the Mets stay out of the double play. Boy, Escobar is just having a dreadful night.
I tell you what, he's going to get himself on the bench. He's got to turn this two no matter what. You've got to turn two. You've got to find a way to turn it. I'm sorry.
You do, but give credit to Wright. Good hard slide. But you're right. You got to get rid of that baseball with Ike running.
That's a big double play right there.
Escobar tonight in the field has allowed a pop fly to fall in for a double. Made a soft toss to first that almost got his first baseman injured and knocked out of the game. And now fails to turn a double play. So Jason Bay tying run at the plate. Bay is 0 for 2 in a walk. And Jason takes a cut of the high fastball, 0-1. In Philadelphia, the Phillies were trailing 7-1 going to the bottom of the ninth. It's now 7-5 and nobody out.
It's funny, you were talking about Wright and how you liked his base and the way he brings his hands back, and he has great balance. Just the opposite, isn't it, for Jason, who seems to be always kind of reaching for the baseball, almost like he's on his toes a little bit.
I agree. He's jumping at the ball. It's just, he's just mired. He's just had a tough first half. I know that there's a little bit of game left here, and there's 2 more games. But he just has not been able to get on track. And I actually think that he's regressed of late.
One big swing could unmire him right here. Saito holding a long time, and they fouls it off. 1-2. Jason with 13 RBIs in his last 10 games. The Mets have not had great hits against relief pitchers of late. In fact, they haven't hit a home run against a relief pitcher since June the 13th. David Wright homered against Mark Hendrickson. 67 innings since then by relief pitchers against the Mets without a home run. And a check swing tapper. Over that time, the Mets have had 14 home runs against starting pitchers. That late inning rally, something the Mets still holding in their back pocket.
The one thing about that stat is that this team has come back time and time again, have not always finished the deal.
If I was pitching against Jason, I would hold the ball from the stretch and just make him get tighter and tighter. And do you think that he swung and missed?
Yes, he thought he swung. No, he thought that McCann had caught the baseball on the tip.
Well, he's got life.
He's walking away.
Oh boy.
It's a rather defeatist move.
Well, you expect the worst, right? Sometimes
got a second chance.
But now he's got an opportunity against Saito with the count 1-2. And he goes down swinging. So another rough night for Jason Bay. 2 out in the inning. Oh boy. More and more in the last few days, he's starting to hear it from the crowded Citi Field.
I've been there, and it's a very lonely place. And he just didn't waste any time with them, Ron. He just threw them all fastballs.
Yeah. So now Josh Thole with 2 out. Thole is 1 for 3, singled to right back in the second. Since then has struck out and bunted into a fielder's choice. Lost playing behind Davis at first base. Not a bad idea with Tolley up there. And it goes to the backstop, and that'll get Davis down to second. So the second wild pitch for the Braves pitching staff tonight, and another one McCann had no chance for.
Not a shot. Hung on to that one a little too long. Just a tad. Josh is the right hitter in this situation. You know, you want to chip away. Get yourself a run right here. A 2-out hit.
Cody Ransom just homered for the Phillies. 6 runs in the bottom of the ninth. 7-7. Greg Dobbs had homered earlier in that inning. One to no to Tolley, and that's a letter high strike. 1-1. If Tolley keeps the inning going, Jeff Francoeur would be next. Just the other day, the Rockies came from 6 down in the bottom of the ninth to win against St. Louis. That's a hard thing to do. And a knee-high strike. 1-2 to Tolley. So Saito changing eye levels a little bit.
The thing about Saito, you know, if you're facing him, is you've got to get a lot of fastballs. He likes his fastball. He likes the pain. If he does get ahead, then maybe he'll drop the hammer on you. But he likes to beat you with that fastball.
Tolley trying to hang in there on 1-2. Too high. Davis at second with 2 down. Mets down by 2 in the 8th. And it gets away again. The breaking ball bounces toward the third base dugout. Davis stops at third. Second wild pitch of the inning for Saito.
Well, he's going to pour the heater on this pitch. 3-2 now. He's a slider, not even close. Well, that's a ball. The one before, no, but that's a ball that you would like to see McCann block. Tough one, but gets that glove in front and runs right up the heel of that glove. Never know where it's going to go. And shading Tolley the opposite field. I'm going to pitch him away and throw him away. And this is going to be a fastball away. You don't want to walk him.
3-2 to Tolley. And it's ball 4. Now the tying runs are on base. And another chance for Jeff Francoeur. The Braves bullpen has been spectacular this year. A huge part of their success. Tied for the best record in the National League. Well, Francoeur came up with 2 men on in the 6th inning and hit a slow ground ball. He comes up with 2 men on in the 8th inning. The tying runs on base. Facing his old team, 1 day shy of a year since being traded. That's just 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position tonight. 40-year-old Takashi Saito deals home. And Francoeur lines it right at Prado for the 3rd out. He hit it solidly, but he hit it straight as a string to Prado. And the Mets are turned aside in the 8th inning. A single, a walk, a couple of wild pitches, but the Mets lead 2. 4-2 Atlanta. will catch and bat ninth. Frankie Rodriguez comes in to pitch and hits sixth.
K-Rod on July 4th in Washington recorded his 20th save. That's his 6th straight season of 20 or more saves.
Melky Cabrera leads off in the ninth. Cabrera was the victim of our Home Depot doing more on defense back in the third.
Well, nice play by Young Ike. Beautiful play in the hole. Nice little dive. Nice feed.
But Melky got his revenge last time up, hitting one where nobody could play it off the facing of the Pepsi porch to untie this game. His third home run of the season. Omar Infante followed with his second. The last two batters R.A. Dickey faced. And right now, those two home runs, the difference in the game. And Cabrera has another base hit. His third of the night. And he takes a wide turn as Pagan throws it in. So Cabrera is 3 for 5. And the Braves, looking for insurance, have the first man on in the ninth inning.
Strange how baseball works. Chipper Jones goes down. Cabrera was hitting in the 8th spot. Now he goes to the 2nd spot. He has a home run and a couple of hits, or 3 hits. And Infante, who is starting in right field, moves to third base. Chipper, and he has a 4-hit day with a home run.
It's Infante's 6th career 4-hit game. He's never had a 5-hit game. Let's see if he's asked to bunt in this spot. Trying to get Cabrera to second with an insurance run. David playing in at third. And K-Rod checking in on Cabrera.
Tough guy to hit and run off of because Frankie doesn't throw a whole lot of strikes. He's one of those guys that wants to nibble. But you could conceivably put the hit and run on. Infante knows how to handle the bat and hit the ball the opposite field. I would prefer that over safety first bunt.
Infante just trying to get out of the way. Bunts it foul, or did he?
No,
Sounded
he did
like
not.
He came off his bat.
Nope.
But I guess not. K-Rod thought it was a foul ball.
So we got a wild pitch. Now you bunt.
There was a sound there. I thought it sounded like it came off the bat. And Jerry Manuel's going to come out to find out as well.
Mets haven't been doing very good this week on did it hit the bat or did it not?
You can ask. Tell them you can't ask for help.
Well, they asked for help the other day. Let's listen.
Well, I think that hit the glove of the umpire. I think that's what it hit. I don't think it hit the bat.
Nope, you're right, Ron. He pulled it back.
Caught leather. That's what it was.
So it's a wild pitch, enabling Cabrera to get to second base with nobody out. And now the Mets will continue to look for the bunt from Infante.
Let's see what kind of bunt play the Mets put on here. Remember that Bobby Cox put the wheel on a few innings back.
I don't think he can do that with Infante. And he swings and fouls it back 1-1. Well, last time he swung, it was a good result for the Braves.
Another knuckleball that just didn't break that much.
Right off the top of the fence and into the crowd. Back-to-back homers off Dickey, who had given up just 2 home runs this year before those back-to-back shots by the unlikely home run hitters. And for the Braves, only the second time this season they've had back-to-back home runs. Lawson Hayward did it back in April. And Infante hits one the other way. Francoeur over. And it goes out of play. Billy Wagner getting ready to try and earn a save against his old team.
Last time he faced them over there in Turner Field, he was throwing pretty hard.
Yes, he was. Who else plays? They're going to play Enter Sandman when he comes in the game, do you?
I don't think so. But he'll have it going through his head internally.
An iPod, maybe?
There you go.
1-2 to Infante. And the breaking ball back to the mound, curling into K-Rod's glove. As Cabrera went diving back into the bag at second, Infante is retired for the first time tonight. And Melky might have gotten shaken up on that slide.
There's a lot of movement. Didn't really go anywhere.
Harrier and Mercedes probables for the rest of the series. Tomorrow afternoon, Mike Pelfrey tries to get back on track against Tim Hudson. And then Sunday afternoon, final game before the All-Star break, Santana tries to keep it rolling after that wonderful performance his last time out. Now the Mets intentionally walking Brian McCann to get to Troy Gloss with 2 men on. So McCann will be on base for the 3rd straight time. This will be the 3rd intentional walk that the Mets have issued tonight. 1 by Dickey, 1 by Feliciano, and now 1 for K-Rod.
This didn't work very well for Mr. Dickey in the 5th inning with the walk of McCann, and Troy Gloss had a base hit.
And there's ball 4 to McCann. So now Gloss, a double play candidate, will come up. Gloss is 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. Singled home a run in the 5th inning. Also hit the ground ball in the 1st inning that Reyes bobbled that created the first Atlanta run. So now Cabrera at second, McCann at first with 1 out. And a swing and a miss at a fastball, 0-1. Bottom of the 9th, the Mets will have 8, 9, and 1 in the order coming up. That's Cora, Barajas, and Pagan. There goes Cabrera. The pitch is a strike and no throw. Melky Cabrera with a big jump, not followed by Brian McCann. 4th stolen base of the year for Cabrera.
Huge stolen base here. Not a big lead, RJ, and just a good jump.
K-Rod has that big motion with the big leg kick and the falling off the mound. And nice read by Cabrera.
So now a fly ball could bring a run in for Atlanta.
And the Mets are not trying to cut off the lead run.
Well, they got to think double play here.
Yes, absolutely. I would think maybe in at the corners, but Bright's playing back.
Struck him out. Well, there's the 2nd out of the inning as K-Rod blows the fastball past Gloss. So now 2 down.
Oh boy. Big swing in a contact situation.
Here's Matt Diaz, who came on as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning and grounded out against Ascens. Stayed in the game in left field. Now his 2nd at bat. Diaz lifts one to right field, chasing Frank Court toward the corner. Jeff reaches and makes the catch right before the fence. Nice play by Frank Court to save a couple of runs and keep the Mets within range against Billy Wagner as they come up in the bottom of the 9th against their old friend sports news and highlight show in town. Let's react to the Cliff Lee trade. The Knicks fortify themselves, and more news on the Jets and their holdout. That goes Sports Night tonight after the postgame at 1 a.m. right here on SNY. And right here at Citi Field, Billy Wagner makes his return against his old team.
He has been dominant. His last 7 outings, he's struck out 14 and has walked nobody.
Just 22 strikeouts shy of Jesse Orozco's record for left-handed relievers in a career. Alex Cora, first man to face him. Alex up for the first time of the game. And he takes up an in from Billy for ball 1.
Billy still throwing hard. 3 blown saves on the year.
Wagner's saying he's going to retire at the end of this season. Have you ever seen a team with a situation like the Braves, where their veteran Hall of Fame caliber manager is going to retire at the end of the year, their veteran Hall of Fame caliber closer is going to retire at the end of the year, and their veteran Hall of Fame caliber third baseman says that he might retire at the end of the year? Ground ball right side, and Gloss has got it to retire Cora for the first out.
I've never seen anything like it for a team that has rallied, it seems, for one more run with Bobby at the helm. And they've gotten a lot like the Mets, some unbelievable play from a lot of smaller parts, as Keith was talking about before. But it's not only that they're retiring, and maybe Chip because of the injuries, but retiring when they can still do it and still go.
Certainly in Wagner's case, having his best year in years. Billy made 2 appearances for the Mets last year after returning from Tommy John surgery. Traded to Boston, did a wonderful job there, and then signed as a free agent with the Braves. Rod Barajas up for the first time. Came out on the double switch in the last inning. It's been a rough go for Barajas. Average of .241 on the year. Hasn't hit a home run since May. Mets just need a base runner here, down by 2 in the 9th. And the backdoor breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-2.
Pretty wicked when he got a guy throwing that hard and he drops the slider on the outside corner on him.
Angel Pagan on deck, Reyes behind him. 1-2 to Barajas. Rod 0 for 4 in his career against Wagner. The pitcher of record for the Braves is Eric O'Flaherty, who got 1 out in the 6th before the Braves got those back-to-back homers in the 7th to take the lead. R.A. Dickey is on the hook for New York. And Barajas grounds 1 weakly out to Prado. And the Mets are down to their final out of the night. Coming up right after our telecast here, it's Lincoln Mercury Postgame Live. Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda will be along to bring you highlights, interviews, and all the rest. Lincoln Mercury Postgame Live right after the ball game. So it's left to Angel Pagan to try and keep it going for New York. Angel 2 for 4 on the night, but he has struck out his last 2 at-bats. Has R.A. Dickey ever left the dugout?
No, he's just contemplating that disastrous 7th inning with 2 outs.
His highest pitch count of the season, 118. The home runs came on 2 of his last 3 pitches. Pagan breaks his bat. Prado retreats, and the ball game is over. Billy Wagner makes easy work of the Mets in the 9th, and the Braves have taken the opener of this 3-game series to push the Mets 4 games behind in the National League East.
Well, the Mets got a good pitched game from R.A. Dickey, but those 2 home runs in the 7th cost him. The 20th save for Billy Wagner, and it really was the Atlanta bullpen and the 2 home runs back-to-back from Cabrera and Infante that cost the Mets today.
Well, it's always an important series as this. Any time when you play in division, it's always important to win the first one. The Braves now push ahead for 4 games in the National League East, making that man right there very happy.
Well, the Braves are now 51-35 on the season. The Atlanta bullpen went 3 1/3 innings, allowed no runs and 1 hit. R.A. Dickey gave up the back-to-back homers to Melky Cabrera and Omar Infante in the 7th inning, and that was the difference as the Braves take the opener of this series 4-2. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. By Rums of Puerto Rico, the rum capital of the world. By Bigelow Tea, Joe Torre and Wayne Gretzky's green tea of choice. By Cadillac. Visit CadillacTristate.com. By Pepsi. And by Toyota. There are many reasons to buy a Toyota, and now's the perfect time to get yours during Toyota's National Clearance Event. Braves win it tonight 4-2 to build a 4-game lead in the National League East. Tomorrow, national TV will be back with you on Pix 11 on Sunday when the Mets take on the Braves with Johan Santana on the mound. Our next SNY telecast, the first game after the All-Star break next Thursday, Mets and Giants. Our coverage begins at 9:30. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for Lincoln Mercury post-game live. Let's